right, and we're kicking off another episode of Chronicles, and we have our first special guest ever on the podcast. Special welcome to the brother of our co-host, Mr. Dom. How are you, mate?
Good, mate. What a privilege, fellas. What a privilege. Number one on the list.
I feel like the meat in the brother sandwich here.
I'm gonna have to put that on my LinkedIn as my achievements. All right.
All right, and of course the one and only Mel.
G'day, how you going?
Not bad. So you got your brother on the opposite camera there, in a couple rooms over.
Yes, he is.
Mm-hmm. I hear enough of him screaming every day, so it's a nice change to do it through the headphones as opposed to actually through my bleeding ears.
Jeez. Thanks.
You've been here before, Simon. You know what the conversations in the office are like.
Well, the other day there, I didn't get much work done that day when I came in. We had the raucous atmosphere going in each of the offices, and then it was lunchtime. The beer, the bread, the prosciutto, the cheese. It was a good day.
It's called life, Simon.
The suppressor.
You should do it more often. But I don't know how you guys get any work done in that place, I tell you what.
I always said, wouldn't it be nice to go to a pub that had you have half a pub where you buy the beer and the other half would be like a continental deli. So you order your beer and then they pull down a sausage, slice it up for you. That would be something.
Maybe that's could be our next business venture.
Maybe. I think I need a bit more in depth there. They're just the outline.
We need to come up with a strategy.
Yeah, I think so. I just feel like I could definitely order an antipasto platter if I went to the pub. I'd be all over that.
All right, Mr. Dom. Now, we've been talking for a few weeks about getting you on as our first official guest. Mm-hmm. Now, why don't you introduce yourself? Because, all your Calabrese cousins will know who you are, but
that's true. So
our wider audience of loyal fans would love to know all about you. So let's go.
The umpteen listeners. So I am Dom. I am Mel's younger brother. I work as an accountant as well. So I've been working with Dad for 13 years now. So dealing with the government, which is always fun. So, but it's pays the bills, mate. What can we say? It's always also handy because no matter what industry you are, everyone always needs an accountant.
Yep, and everyone pays tax.
Mm-hmm. That's it. So definitely a handy.
What else we need to know?
They're the major stuff. Avid AFL fan, avid soccer fan. So much similar to you boys, actually. We don't venture too much away from the similar teams, except the Roma versus Juve thing. But that's I won't hold that against you, Simon.
Well, I didn't want to go for the easy option.
Yeah, that's it. We'll just talk about our love of the Eagles. That'll be enough for us, eh?
Yeah, that's it. But I thought make my sporting life a bit of a challenge by going for a bit of an underdog.
Nothing wrong with that, mate. Hey, they were actually all right. They were back probably when you were peaking. What was that, early 2000s? They were actually very, 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 very good.
They have their peaks and valleys. Their peaks are never quite high enough, and the valleys are never that bad. But
was that 2000? Was it 2001? Was that the one when they won it? Was that the one?
2001 championship
was that the one that went to the last week, or was that the one after?
They were 9 points clear at some point during the season, and Juventus kind of clawed their way back.
Mm-hmm.
But then the last week of the season, they were 2 points clear.
I remember that.
They just needed to win to obviously secure it, and they did. Yeah.
Those are the days, eh?
Yes, those are the good old days. They probably should have won another two since then, but they always manage to blow it when they get the opportunity. But anyway, all right, what are we talking about this week, boys?
I don't know. What is there to talk about this week?
I don't know.
Besides the AFL Grand Final, the AFL Grand Final going to Brisbane.
Oh, well, yeah, it's a good one to start on, I suppose. Is it? It's no surprise, really, is it?
No, I don't think it was ever a surprise, to be honest with you.
No,
I didn't think it was.
Well, I mean, I think obviously Perth and Optus Stadium would be, the more ideal place, but it was never going to happen. The government never wanted it. So
that's in a nutshell. That's what I feel. The government didn't want it, so he didn't come.
So we were chatting about this earlier during the week, and I was saying, look, I always thought it was going to go to Queensland anyway. I never thought there was any doubt in that. What I don't approve of, though, is I have no idea why the AFL has to give compensation to the Victorian government for them not being able to meet their part of the contract. That's just baffling.
That is crazy. That is ludicrous. You can't perform, and you still get paid in the contract. What is that?
That is crazy. And to extend it by another year, I was like, wow, that's just, I don't know. That's just ridiculous to me.
So it's 51 years they get instead of 50.
Yeah. So they haven't actually lost anything. They get an extended contract. I was like, how does that work out? And they also got apparently they get to host 2 of the next 3 drafts or something, but I don't think that's really that major.
Oh, and they also get more games this year. Next year, sorry, more games during the season.
But that one I'm not really that fussed about, because really that just means that they'll have less games at Etihad or Marvel now, sorry. Less games at Marvel and more at the MCG. And basically that's the AFL saying, well, they own Marvel now anyway, so they're just losing out on some revenue there to give it to the MCG. But I don't think they should have extended the grand final for another year. That's ridiculous.
Yeah, that's pretty sad.
Do you reckon in our lifetime we'll see an AFL Grand Final outside of Melbourne?
Nope. Well, when's it to? 2058?
2058, yep.
Yeah, so I'll be 79 years old. I don't think so. I'll be lucky to make it past 65. There you go.
Oh, come on, Mel. Give yourself some credit.
I reckon, he does say that often. Very pessimistic view of life sometimes.
Well, maybe if you tone down the beer, the vino.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I think
you'll be right.
It's probably the cholesterol from the Italian sausage. I think it's probably more likely to be
just the one the other day. I think.
There was a bit of oil in that one. Yeah. It was good, but
it was good.
Delicious. No, I don't think it will ever. Do you actually? Do you know what? It'd be interesting to see in 15 or 20 years, like after you've had another 15 or 20 years at the MCG, the chirpiness of the interstate teams, whether they will kind of start pushing a bit harder for it to happen.
Well, I don't know. I think for anything to happen, the interstate teams need to get together and kind of try and gang up on the AFL to wrench it away. At the end of the day, contract's in place, and I don't know if anything can be done about that until that expires. But I would say that there's probably already a plan in place to get that extended at some point anyway.
Yeah, it's
but I say it all the time. I'd love to see the interstate teams threaten to break away and form their own league, and then see which Melbourne teams would try to come across as well.
Mm.
I mean, it's happened in other sports, hasn't it? That teams have formed breakaway leagues.
It happened in rugby league
here in Australia.
Yeah, Super League. Yeah.
Really? Okay.
Don't you remember when it was the ARL back then? What was it, about 25 years ago? Then it broke away.
Right. Well, yeah, the ARL does ring a bell. But
ARL, and then there was Super League.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So when the Western Reds were around.
That's when the Perth Reds, or Western Reds, and then went to Perth Reds.
Yeah.
What about Western Force? They still exist?
They're back in this year.
In the Super 14?
Yeah, because of something to do with COVID or something.
Yeah, I don't kind of understand how that structure works, because now they're in they went to that world format, so they had to drop a team. Then because this hit, they went back to country formats. And then I don't know what's going on there, because they got some terrible marketing, because no one even knows what league they're playing.
I don't know. I never hear about them. I've got no idea.
Actually, on that as well, now talk about terrible marketing in sport, right? Now, A-League Grand Final was on last week.
I didn't see a minute of it. I didn't even know it was on.
Mate, no one even knew that the league restarted.
Yeah, I didn't see a second. I mean, look, I've said it before that I don't follow the A-League anyway. But let's say if Perth Glory had have been playing in the grand final, I probably would have watched it.
Yep.
No one even knew that they were playing a semi-final last week. They played last Wednesday night, I think it was.
Yeah, they did.
Was Glory in the semi-final?
They played semi-final. Yeah. They lost to Sydney 1-0.
1-0.
Where was that?
2-0.
Where were they playing these games?
2-0.
That one was in Sydney.
I had no idea that was going on.
I was like, whoever's in charge of marketing at the A-League is doing a really poor job at it, because I had mates who actually follow A-League that didn't even know the A-League was back on, and they're actually followers of the A-League. So I can only imagine the general public would have no idea that the A-League was on.
There was, isn't that the guy in charge? Wasn't he the former from the from the rugby league, wasn't it?
Oh, yeah, what's his name?
David. I can't remember.
Gallup?
Gallup. That's it, yeah, Gallup.
That's yeah. No, it's just shocking, man. I was like, how do you have your league back on and be coming into your grand final?
So who won the
Sydney?
Yeah.
So that's 2 in a row they've won. Is that right?
Yep.
I do know my stuff. There we go.
Yeah, they won.
And what was the
1-0.
score in the final? 1-0.
1-0. 1-0 was the final. Yeah. Yeah.
So who did they beat? Melbourne. There's 3 Melbourne teams.
Melbourne Heart.
No, well, it was Melbourne City, but they played in their Heart outfit.
Yeah.
Why?
Throwback, because they're blue as well, so they had to put their away strip on.
Right.
So they put their old Melbourne Heart strip on. I actually kind of like the old Melbourne Heart strip, but they obviously were wearing that as a.
So that's the white and red stripes.
Yeah.
I've got a white and red striped soccer shirt. Sunderland.
Oh, Messina.
No, it hasn't got stripes. So I bought a Sunderland shirt.
Oh, that was it was for charity. Yeah, 100%.
It was a charity. Yeah.
Although would not have expected to hear that from you, Simon. I'm not going to lie.
Well, it is the only English football shirt that I've ever owned in my life, and probably will ever own. But yeah, it was a charity thing because there was a kid a few years ago. His name was Bradley Lowry. He had this rare form of cancer, and he was a Sunderland fan. And there was a charity which the club was behind, and they were selling Sunderland shirts with like his badge on there. And I remember when before he passed away, I was following the story online, about him trying to, everyone getting behind him to try to help him recover, and obviously it went south and didn't go well. But yeah, so I thought it was only $30, so.
That's a good reason to buy one, though.
Chip in and buy a shirt, and it hangs up in my wardrobe next to my Italy and Roma shirts.
No, but that's fair enough. It was for charity. Did the right thing.
Oh yeah.
Did you crank it out when Sunderland plays on?
Well, funnily enough, talking of Sunderland, have you watched the Netflix
Sunderland
Till I Die?
No, not yet.
No. It's really good, actually. I probably like the first season better than the second season, but. It's an interesting watch, just for the passion of these supporters, right? Because they get Netflix to come in and film them for a season, and this season that's the season they get relegated from the
Championship
second division to the third division.
Yeah.
So
they went from did they really from Div1? No, Div1.
Yeah. So the first season of this show, they got relegated from the championship to what do they call it? League One, is it?
Oh,
yeah. So then, obviously, the second season of the Netflix show, they're trying to get promoted. They actually make it to the playoff, and they lose the playoff on penalties.
Oh, good drama.
So. Oh yeah, very dramatic. But and they get new owners as well in the second season, and these owners are a rabble. They don't know what they're doing.
Is it Netflix or Amazon doing the Tottenham one? That'd be interesting because that's the one where
I think that's Amazon. So
yeah, because they sacked.
Amazon's got some really good ones. They've got Manchester City from a few seasons back. I think it might have been Guardiola's first season.
Mm-hmm.
So I think I've seen the first episode of that, but I haven't seen it all. There's got Borussia Dortmund. There's one about Brazil, which no interest, thanks. There's one on the All Blacks.
Mm-hmm.
I heard that they were going to do one for West Coast Eagles as well on Amazon. But I don't know what happened with that.
That's this season. So there's I think there was 4 clubs. So there was Eagles, might have been Collingwood, might have been Richmond.
Richmond.
I think there was, but they're going to try and pick someone who they think might win at the end of the year.
So what? Are they filming it at the moment?
Yeah, they're still filming it.
I wonder how they're doing that with this coronavirus shutdown and all that stuff.
Do they step back 1.5 meters?
Or maybe our Sydney Stack. He might tell you.
Actually, I'll raise a query for you. Do you think Sydney Stack and what was his name? The other guy. So I'm just drawing a blank. But they're asking them to pay the fine.
No,
should they pay?
All right. Can we just explain the story?
Okay.
Because there's going to be people listening that don't have a clue what we're talking about, and I'm probably one of them. I didn't follow this story. I heard the name in the news, but I didn't follow the story. So lay it on us.
I'll go from the beginning. So Sydney Stack and the other. Have you got his name there, Miller? What was his name?
I
want to say
Sydney Stack is a player.
He's a player. There's 2 players for Richmond, right?
For who?
For Richmond.
Okay.
So they're in the Queensland hub at the moment. So the other not last night, the night before, they went to a strip club in Queensland.
Callum
Okay.
Jones.
So this is just the other day.
So went to a strip club in Queensland. Then they went to get a kebab outside the strip club. Got it.
As you do.
As you know, well, that's standard.
As you do.
On a
You
side,
can't go home without the kebab.
on a side note, that is a prime location for a kebab store. But anyway, that's another issue. But that guy, he probably can afford to pay the $75,000 just for the advertisement that he'll get now.
So were they breaching the lockdown?
This is the thing. No, so they come out, then they got into a fight with. I actually might add Tom Brown, who's one of the AFL, one of the commentators there on journalists, right? He said that Sydney Stack tried to pay for the kebabs, got declined, right? So then he had to transfer them the money, so I can do a bank transfer. Meanwhile, got into a fight with some other dudes, but apparently Stack tried to break it up. Like these guys were antagonising him. Then they lost the kebab. The kebab fell over or something. I don't know what happened. So then they went and bought another lot of kebabs. So, mate, that's $100,000 for 4 kebabs. That's expensive kebabs, mate. So that's the story, right? Now, regardless of the fight they got into, because that's always an issue with professional athletes. That's regardless if it was COVID or not. That's always something, right? But so what has actually happened is that the club had a $25,000 suspended fine from their previous breach. Remember, the wife went to a day spa of one of the players and all that sort of jazz. Whatever that was. Yeah, that one. So they have the 25. So then they got an extra $75,000 fine, plus the players got 10 matches. They got suspended for 10 matches, right? Now they're saying that the club's trying to say that the players are going to pay the fine. That's $37,500 each. These guys are on 50% pay cut, and they don't get any match payments for 10 matches, right? So these guys would it worked out that the fine is half their salary for a year. That's just steep, man.
That's a bit harsh.
Yeah, so the AFL Players Association said that the maximum fine you can fine a player is $10,000, right? That's the max that they could possibly get, right? Now, the club's saying, these guys are voluntarily paying. Apparently this morning, the agent of one of the players, Sydney Stack, said, no, they're not agreeing to pay. The Players Association has said this is the amount, right? Now, yeah, they might have done the wrong thing, granted, but so be it. The thing is, they didn't go into a strip club. That side of it is not a breach of any state law or federal law. They didn't breach a quarantine. That's not what happened. It's just it's a COVID breach for the AFL. So it's like your boss saying, we don't want you to go to a strip club. You go to a strip club, and then the boss says, well, I'm going to fine you $100,000 for going to the strip club. Not that it was illegal. It's just that's against their policy to do that. That's essentially what's happened.
Hang on. How does the AFL have any right to say you can't go to a strip club if it's not against the law?
So
that's their COVID policy.
So yes, so I can understand the AFL having some sort of regulation about player. What's the word? Player decorum, player conduct, right? I get that, right? To then fine them $75,000. Well, they fine the club. They actually don't fine the player. They fine the club, and it's up to the club to decide what they want to do. I think the club should just pay it and wear it, because that's just the cost of doing business anywhere. If your employee stuffs up, the business pays for it. That's just the world we live in.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
So did the club know that they were going out?
I highly doubt it. I don't think that would have been a good look. They've been breached before. They've had a few off-field problems this year. Obviously, Richmond. You know, they had the Brooke Cochin where she went to the spa, and then they had the we'll call it assault claims for the when the players were singing their song and the guy was touching him.
Yes, we had a special episode on that one. Mind you, our discussion on that was probably about 1 minute and 15 seconds. That's all, but it was enough to give us a good laugh for the next week.
That was definitely funny.
I find it funny that like it's moved. That was an assault thing. Them saying, that's in a way of sexual assault, almost quasi, right? And I was like, well, I mean, maybe the guys are just comfortable in their sexuality that they don't care that the other bloke is touching their ass. but that doesn't get discussed. It's only the assault part that gets discussed. So I'm like, mate, maybe
how did that situation finish up anyway? Were there
they said sorry
disciplinary action, or that was it?
Sorry, won't do it again. Moved on. Like, of course, was going to happen. As if what are you going to do? Find someone for like patting someone on the ass? Like, I mean,
exactly. No, if you don't shut that computer up, I'm going to reach through the screen. Can you mute it? No.
There's nothing on my computer.
It's making noise every time we do this podcast. You got that bloody thing dinging in the background.
Okay,
mute the bloody.
I've got nothing there. Anyway, I'll keep looking.
So in the end, $100,000 for kebabs. That's pretty much the story.
Brilliant.
How's that? Imagine like any other 21-year-old, that would be such a non-issue. But for an AFL player, that's the.
Man, I hope that kebab they can still taste it.
Oh,
that it was that good.
Still seeping through his pores at this point, eh? Like you'd hope the garlic sauce was still lingering.
You'd want it to be better than like Nolamara kebabs, that's for sure.
Great kebabs.
I love
great kebabs.
Haven't had one for a while actually.
Seriously, prime
down that way.
Seriously, prime real estate, but I have a kebab store outside a strip club. That's some epic market research for saying it.
Brilliant.
Guaranteed clientele there.
Oh, mate.
You get hungry when you're at the strip club, slipping your tipping dollars.
Mm-hmm.
Well, you should have just enough left to buy a kebab. That's all you got left.
I wonder if they accept tipping dollars and then go and
swap them back
and them in next door.
Yeah. Richmond, eh? Bloody Richmond.
I haven't prepared anything for this week to talk about because I've been I left work last night at 10:30.
That's good.
Website problems, bloody hell. So I'm actually supposed to be fixing website issues right now, but it's podcast time.
Yeah, so. But now the grand final there. But besides that, what are your thoughts on Queensland hosting it? I mean, I can understand why they did it because the Brisbane Broncos are shit this year. Gold Coast Titans are shit.
Well, yeah, obviously the AFL was always leaning or pushing towards Brisbane because, they want to take advantage of, firstly, the Brisbane rugby team's doing crap and, an opportunity to try and push the game in Queensland. Waste of time, if you ask me, right? Because they don't care.
No, they don't care at all.
It will only, they'll would have jagged it. It will only come off if Brisbane make the grand final, right? Otherwise, no one's going to care whatsoever.
Yep, I agree.
Okay, because if it's I don't know, Geelong versus Port Adelaide, Geelong versus Eagles, grand final, no one in Brisbane's going to care.
No, imagine if it's a Port Adelaide West Coast grand final. So the West Australian team and the South Australian team playing in Queensland.
Mm-hmm.
That would be brilliant. You know what? I'd love that. Firstly, a big, give the birdie to the AFL, and the AFL doesn't get the much fans there as well. They'll be giving tickets away for free, probably to fill spots.
Oh, they'll definitely fill the stadium, but yeah, they'll give it all away for free. What else are they going to do?
But why couldn't it be? It was never going to be over here because the government didn't want it. But why couldn't it be Adelaide?
Well, Adelaide
probably another deserving, footy town.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely,
more so than Brisbane.
And Adelaide Oval is apparently a very good oval.
So was Adelaide trying to get it?
Yeah, apparently the backup. You're saying goes wrong in Queensland.
Okay, well they should have been the one to get it then.
Mm. And Port Adelaide's on top of the ladder.
Although I think with the South Australia, I don't know how helpful. It seems to be that the government there weren't exactly going out of their way to help. So I'd say it's more. There's more. It's more based on reward for effort. It seems like why they've chosen to give it to Queensland.
But in saying that, in South Australia, the players didn't have to quarantine, which was a big difference. So they could have flown straight from Queensland.
Well, over here they wanted them to quarantine for a week, wasn't it?
Yes.
Yeah, 7-day hard.
So Queensland don't need to quarantine.
No, South Australia didn't have to quarantine.
And South Australia didn't have to quarantine. Oh, God, it's hard to keep track of all these bloody stupid regulations.
So even if it did come to WA and they're quarantined for 7 days, How could they have the parade?
Explain all this quarantining when you're crossing borders and that kind of type of thing. And then you look at Europe. Travel is pretty much open in Europe, isn't it?
Yeah, it is.
And you're crossing country lines, country borders, let alone state borders over here. God, they've just gone really hard line over here, haven't they? It's just...
Yeah, but they're still, like, Europe's gone, like, France is having 7,000 cases a day again. Same amount of cases they had when they were peaking.
Really?
Yeah, but the deaths have come down a lot.
The deaths have come down, but that's going to happen because treatment's going to get better. Like, you think that after time you'd figure out what works and what doesn't work, at least to a certain extent. Something like, I'm pretty sure the stat was in July, back in July, I think you were 4 times less likely to die than you were in April if you caught COVID. So it's obviously gotten better over the time, but still, like, you don't want 7,000 people a day catching. That's quite a lot of people. Like, really, that's quite a few. It's not India numbers, but still a lot.
Well, is India the worst country at the moment?
India's got, yesterday, 87,000 cases.
New cases yesterday?
New cases in a day.
Wow.
Yeah, it's pretty bad.
Well, it's a country of, 1 billion people, close to it.
Probably more. Worldometers list them as 1.382.
There'll be more than that.
1.3 billion people.
Yeah.
In India.
I reckon it'd be probably more. That's probably what they know of.
Well, I was going to say that's documented. About, imagine how many wouldn't be.
Well, in China's about 1.3 or 1.4, but there's probably a couple 100 million that aren't documented there.
But then you got to remember, you've also got Pakistan next to India. That's got 221 million people. You got Bangladesh. It's got.
There's a lot of people.
250 million, is it? Or is it something like that?
Crazy, yeah.
Bangladesh. Sorry, they reckon 164 million. Sorry,
Is that all?
Sorry, my mistake.
Mm.
You also got Sri Lanka is another 21 million. So that looks midget, which is basically Australia next to them.
How's this Victorian police cracking down on arresting people for making Facebook posts and stuff like that? Did you see the pregnant lady who?
Yeah, saw that.
All right, she's done a stupid thing, right, to try and organise a Facebook event, a rally. It was in Ballarat, wasn't it?
Yeah, Ballarat. And funny, Ballarat's got a different restriction to Melbourne. So they're at stage 3 restrictions, not stage 4.
So they are allowed to get out and protest?
I believe it's saying different in Ballarat, yeah.
Anyway, right, she even admitted, probably stupid to do it. Can't I just delete the bloody thing and be done with it? Why can't they? And then you compare to when they did these Black Lives Matter rallies in Melbourne. That was all encouraged. The police were on board with that.
Police kneeled.
So they were doing interviews, leading up to these Black Lives Matter rallies in Melbourne City, saying, people have a constitutional right to go out and protest, and that type of thing, and, we support them. But now when it's protesting these lockdown stuff, no, not allowed to do it, and we'll lock you up, arrest you just for making a post on Facebook about it, not actually even doing it. It's unbelievable. That state has become a fascist dictatorship.
It's shambles. It's actually shambles.
It is pretty bad, though.
What hypocrisy to allow one but not the other, to support one and crack down on the other.
No, regardless, right or wrong, it is what it is. But the fact that she got arrested, I thought to myself, really? It's a Facebook post.
She's not the only one either.
And there was another guy that was filming it as well, and he just got out of bed, and they said, "What are you coming in for?" He goes, "Open the door. If you don't open the door, we're going to knock it down." They smashed his door down and arrested him. I'm like,
yes, yeah. He was filming on the balcony as they were bashing in.
Like, what are you?
And the camera goes flying. They just come and rush him and throw him to the floor. Just the brutality of it as well. Like, what's the need to be that, that aggressive, that physical?
The irony in that system was the fact that they were claiming they weren't doing things properly because they were claiming people had the human rights? They were part of a human rights convention or whatever. What was that one, Miller?
Yeah, the human rights convention. Yeah.
But then they're doing this for people to post Facebook posts. I was like, all right, so it's only human rights when it's convenient for you. Is that
Yeah, exactly.
the case? I was like, how you work that
Exactly
one out?
right.
They're
Exactly
a shambles, man. Honestly, a shambles over there.
Seriously.
I can only. He's definitely. I think he's definitely out of a job as soon as that election comes up. I don't think he's gonna. I don't think there's anything he could do that would save his job. Dan Andrews.
Yeah, but I don't know. I wouldn't say that because Victoria's very different than the rest of the country.
Yeah, but
yeah. Like, he's a nightmare and everyone knows it and everyone, is saying it. But Victoria as a state is so far left that they might just lap it up.
But the thing is, I don't think you could seriously look at the rest of the country while in lockdown and think, yep, he's done a good job.
Yeah, but there's a lot of tweets that say, I stand with Dan.
Yeah, because they're people that have just picked a team like they're a sports team and follow blindly no matter what, right? That's those people. And you get them on both sides of the political spectrum.
And they're always the extremes.
They're idiots on both sides of the political spectrum.
Oh, yeah.
Because, we might be conservative minded, but bloody hell, if someone who's more a conservative politician acts like a dickhead, I'm happy to bloody say it. But you get those people that will just follow blind no matter what, and that shits me.
I definitely wouldn't want to be living there at the moment. I know that much for sure.
No, just your freedom's gone. Your freedom's gone.
Totally gone.
Who's keeping track of each law, each freedom that's lost? Who's keeping track about in 6 months' time whether they come back or not?
Mm-hmm.
It's just eventually it'll just become the norm.
Yep.
Right. And this is why they keep saying this stupid term, the new normal, because it's not just, living with the coronavirus that they want to be the new normal. It's also the heavy-handedness and, the authoritarianism that they want to be a new normal as well. Okay. They being, governments making rules. Listen to what we say, do as we say. That becomes the new mindset.
That was like, what about... Speaking of that, what about Nancy Pelosi? Did you see that in America? There's a lockdown. There's a lockdown in San Francisco, so no one can do anything. Hairdressers are closed and all that. But she went to a hairdresser and got her hair done. And the owner of the shop's like, hang on a minute, because apparently the owner subleases a chair. The hairdressers do that. They rent out chairs. So she rented it. Then the person who rented the chair told Nancy to come in and get her hair done. So it was all right for her to get her hair done. But the
owner of the salon dobbed her in.
No. The owner of the salon, yeah, well, pretty much, because they're closed. We're not allowed to open. But for Nancy Pelosi, it's all right. She can get her hair done.
Yeah, but everyone is equal, Middle. Just some are more equal than others. It's no different to the guy in New Zealand, the health minister. You're not allowed to do anything, and then he drives his car down to the beach and starts riding his bike around. The same thing. They're like, man, you tell everyone else you can't do it, and then you go and do it yourself. But that's always been the case.
It would circle back to the AFL, right? You're not allowed to travel for anything, but 400 people from AFL employees have gone up to Queensland in this hub. But you want to travel interstate because there's a funeral of a family member or things like that. Forget about it. You've got to make an application and send a Hail Mary and then get rejected, basically, because it's never going to happen. It's bullshit.
Because Queensland hospitals are for Queenslanders.
Yeah, that idiot.
Jesus. That's a disgrace. I can't believe she even said that. A hard luck border, and then all of a sudden, 400 people come in. That's all right. It's different. AFL.
But I bring this up with you all the time, Mel. The only people she cares about saying that to is the people who vote for her, which is what they want to hear. So McGowan's the same. Palaszczuk's the same. Dan Andrews are probably thinking that, whether what he's saying is actually resonating with his people. Or that's
exactly.
The story.
They're happy to look like idiots to people from other states because those people are not their voters.
That's right.
Right? So they're just playing on the parochialism of their state, right? McGowan's been doing it. This is 91 or 92% whatever support that he's got. Bullshit. I don't believe that for a minute. I don't know where they're getting these numbers from. Because everyone I'm talking to is saying,
it's time to open up.
Maybe I'm talking to too many like-minded people, but everyone's been saying that he's not doing as great a job as everyone says he has. because he's been talking shit against other states, against the AFL, all this kind of stuff. But at the end of the day, the job he's done, I could have done with my eyes closed.
Yeah, shut it down.
But you know what I mean? Just to shut a border and just keep it closed and make no exceptions. Well, no exceptions that they publicise anyway. Anyone could have done that.
Yeah. What do you think about the West Australian newspaper? What a rag that's become, hasn't it?
What was the headline? Is it today's headline? Let's have a look. I've got to bring it up. Yeah, it's a shit rag. It's a shit rag.
It's a shame. I used to enjoy reading the West Australian.
I wouldn't spend $1 on it.
No, nothing.
And it's a shame because I'm sure there's good reporters that they haven't made redundant yet that are still there. But it's a shame for those ones. But there's a lot of tabloid bullshit in the West Australian newspaper. Look at the front page. A caricature drawing of McGowan. September 4 is our Westralia Day. Why? Because it's when Canberra finally conceded our state is special, our economy is special, and we should dictate our borders. From now on, this date shall be known as our Westralia Day.
Really? Really embarrassed me like that? My God. I told you I don't have a West Australian passport.
It's not even an article. That's just not even news.
To whatever sells the newspaper, Simon.
How does this sell? Like, if I walked past that in the news agency and I saw that, I'd be like, are you serious?
But you're forgetting, who buys the newspaper, but?
Boomers.
I don't know. Who buys the newspaper?
The older generation. The young generation don't buy the newspaper. And who are the people that something like that would appeal to? It's always the older generation. That's their target market, so be it.
How long do you reckon newspapers have got in general?
20 years.
You give them even 20?
Yeah, give them 20.
Mate, they're gonna stumble to 20. I tell you what, and deservedly so.
Yeah,
like that's they don't deserve.
But you look at the online rag. What are they? Perth Now. That's theirs. What an absolute schmozzle of a website.
Well, Perth Now, news.com.au, they're a disgraceful tabloid.
It's pathetic. I mean, there's more about. Actually, I didn't. Dom said he told me, and I actually didn't notice before, but now I started looking at it. It's all about influencers and who cares?
Exactly. Yeah. How many Instagram stories people put a post on Instagram or something and they put it as a story on news.com.au or Perth Now. It does my head in when I see these things. I can't believe it.
That's how they make money now. So they're generating money because the influencers' PR is paying the newspaper to run the article.
Oh, it's so obvious when there's a paid story.
Like the other day, that buddy Jem Wolfe, I don't get the fascination. But anyway, Jem Wolfe was on there and the article was about her and she's got a blue Mustang. That was it. She bought a blue Mustang. And I was like, this is on the news.
So the article was about her making an Instagram post about her new car?
Yeah, she bought a blue. And I was like, is that the article? That's it. That was literally what the article was about. And this is where I was mentioning it to Mel. I was like, man, they're pushing off B-grade celebs and stuff on there. He's actually getting frustrating now. He's like,
oh, here we go. I'm just scrolling down news.com.au. Another one about Adele's transformation.
Mm-hmm. Wait till you see the Constance Hall ones. I was like, mate, no one even knows who this woman is. Why do you keep giving her? Why do you keep giving her airtime? Far out.
Which I don't know who she is. So
exactly.
Good. Keep it that way. You don't want anyone you know to be following this type. She's a bogan trash. That's what she is, and plays on it big time.
She was on Big Brother, apparently. Wouldn't even know. She gets mentioned in every article. Apparently. Didn't know that either. Apparently it's in one of the articles there. So I was like, of course.
That's it. Look at these headlines. Mum kicks $3 drink habit for bikini win.
So you know how you say newspapers don't exist, they probably won't exist, son, right? So you say that. One or two will exist because it seems to be what's happened all the time. So the fact that records still exist, the fact that things like old style stuff still does
VHS doesn't exist.
No, but see, that's the thing. I think there will always be that level of people who want to be like, oh, it was so much better back then. Like you have that nostalgia thing, and it'll keep it alive.
Why would it always exist? Like take a 15-year-old, whether it's male or female, a 15-year-old kid these days, right? When are they ever going to be an adult wanting to read a newspaper? No chance.
Yeah, you've missed the novelty, but okay, this is another example I'll give. I actually reckon later down the track, somewhere along the line, right, there'll be something like we kind of similar to a video store will start again, similar, like where you go somewhere, that something like that will exist, right? Only because you'll go through the novelty factor of it. Now, there is something nostalgic. Like, honestly, there's nothing like going when you were young and you went through a video store and you go through all the videos, you pick one out. It's not the same on Netflix. It ain't the same on Stan. That doesn't exist, right? That oh, cool, I get to go to the video store kind of thing, right? So whether they come back, there's always, I think, people want that sort of reminder, like back in the day, this is what it was like. And that's why I think it will exist. Will it prosper again? Nah, never. It's outdated. It's dying, right? Will it survive though?
So it'll become a fad for a few months.
It will. It's no different to records. Like, think about records. Like, seriously, have you got a record player?
No.
No.
I don't have a record player, but people buy records. I don't know who's doing it, but somebody's doing it.
I haven't even bought a CD in years.
No, they don't even exist anymore.
You can't buy a CD?
Well, like, really, when's the last time? I've seen one CD store. I think there's one at Dog's Farm Shopping Centre. It was the last one.
What about JB Hi-Fi, Sanity? They still exist, don't they?
They still. Sanity, no.
But it's actually more records. They sell records, like actual
because
records.
of the nostalgia factor. But there's also with records, it's the sound quality is supposed to be better as well, isn't it?
Yes.
Isn't that another reason why they came back a bit?
Acoustically, yes.
I don't know how that would be possible.
I can't pick it. My ear doesn't pick it. Right. I'm happy with an MP3 file on a computer or on my phone with headphones.
How could an analog signal be better? I don't understand how it could be better quality than a digital. I don't know. That doesn't make any sense to me.
I don't know. It does. Records do nothing for me. Great for people that love that stuff and that are collectors. Good on it.
But you ask a muso, like the old style amplifier with the valves sounds better than the new style for some reason. Like my father's got some old amplifiers with valves, and one of his godsons said, "Oh, don't ever get rid of them. I want them because you can't get them anymore. These old valve, because of the sound it makes." I'm like, okay, whatever it is.
I mean, I went through a phase, some time back of trying to get buy CDs of my favorite albums, my favorite artists, right?
Bruce Springsteen,
obviously, and I didn't. I don't own every. I don't own every CD of his that he produced. When he puts something new out, I buy it, but I haven't gone, through the back catalogue of his stuff. I mean, I've got it all digitally, but I don't have everything, physically of his stuff, right? Or of any artist. So I don't know. Is it even worthwhile? Because I found that I was buying these CDs, but they were sitting in the drawer, and I was just listening to it from my phone or computer or whatever.
Well, that's the
or
thing.
in the car.
Spotify has ruined that sort of aspect of it. But
they've all jumped on board, right? I remember when Spotify came around, Gene Simmons from Kiss railing against Spotify, right? So, on a rant saying, how it's ruined the music industry and that type of thing. Kiss promotes Spotify like there's no tomorrow.
Yeah, but it's money. They're probably getting
technology, mate. It's no different to Uber Eats. Macca's and Hungry Jacks and all that wanted Uber Eats at the beginning, and now it's a platform everyone uses. That's just technology moving along the way.
Funnily enough, I don't use Spotify. I've got it on my phone, and I've very rarely even opened it. By the way, we're available on Spotify. I should add that. But Chronicles on the fly. But yeah, it's not an app that I use.
But I wouldn't use Spotify for. Would you use it for podcasts and stuff like that? Not really. I wouldn't use Spotify for podcasts.
You can. I'm pretty sure that any. I use Podkicker. But I need to get rid of that because it's giving me the shits. I need to find a decent podcast app, a better one. But I don't want one that I have to pay a monthly fee for, though. Right? I do. Having said that, I do have YouTube Premium, which gives you YouTube Music app, which I find is very similar to Spotify anyway. All the music that I would listen to on Spotify is on YouTube Music.
Yeah, it is,
and that's a good app. I like that And I also got Amazon Prime, and that's got its Amazon Music app as well. So I've got the choice of YouTube Music, Amazon Music, paid versions, or Spotify. I've got the free version. And, of course, I very rarely listen to any of them.
You must be the only guy that's paid for YouTube Premium, but like you're the first person I've ever met.
Do you know how good YouTube is without commercials?
Yeah, I could imagine that.
Because on my TV at home, YouTube is used probably more than, easily. It's used almost every day. I've got my 3-year-old who just plays Blippi and
Blippi.
all these cartoon stuff, all the kids stuff. She plays it all through YouTube. She's better with YouTube than I am.
Yeah.
So I thought I'll pay for it, and then she doesn't have to sit through advertising. I don't want my kid being advertised through to.
Just funny about that, son. That when my kid watches, because if you watch ABC Kids, there's no adverts either. There's actually no adverts on.
And that's the other thing.
Right?
So she switches between YouTube and ABC iView or ABC Kids, right? Because she loves Bluey and all that.
Have you actually put it down when there's actually commercials like we used to deal with commercials? My daughter doesn't know what to do. She's like, "Well, what's this thing?" Start in. I'm like,
very rarely. I suppose maybe if we've got Foxtel on.
Yeah, it's foreign to them, and I was like, man, that's such a normal part of my childhood.
Free-to-air TV is rarely on in my house.
Speaking, go back to YouTube. Well, I don't have YouTube Premium, but I did download an app called Smart Tube TV, which is actually YouTube without the commercials.
Mm-hmm.
So I've been using that now.
Smart Tube TV. What? It's exactly YouTube.
It's actually YouTube. So it backs into YouTube and just takes out the commercials.
Yeah, if you use an ad blocker, the ads won't show up anyway.
Well, how do you put an ad blocker on your TV?
Well, on your TV you can't. But I got it on because I got a Fire Stick, Amazon Fire Stick. So I just downloaded this app, Smart Tube TV, and it was brilliant. You know what I mean?
All right. Well, you've done it dodgy.
No, it's not dodgy. I just used a different app.
Oh, okay.
It's just, yeah.
Well, yeah, okay. YouTube Premium, I think, is $15 a month. I don't pay $15 a month. Let's just leave it at that. There are ways. Yeah. There are ways. We'll talk off air.
Yeah. Well, if you had to pay for everything, though,
I do pay for it. I do pay for it, but it's nowhere near $15.
But if you've got to pay for Disney Plus, and you got Netflix, and you got Stan, and then you've got Amazon, like if you have to pay for everything.
I've got Foxtel, right? I've got Optus. What's Fetch? Sorry.
Fetch, yeah.
And then Optus Sport comes through that, but I don't pay for that because that's through my mobile bundle and stuff. So Foxtel, Fetch, Netflix, Amazon Prime or Amazon Prime Video, whatever it's called. Now that costs me $7 a month, and it's worth every cent, right? And I'm not talking about for the
that's for deliveries and stuff,
yeah, because I've with that I've got a bunch of subscriptions. Okay, and you get it cheaper than standard rates. So you just set, like nappies, right? Big, nappies, buy them in bulk, come every maybe second month. You can set the frequency of when you want them delivered. And I've compared prices, and it's definitely the best price.
So what app is it? Amazon.
You buy it through Amazon. So I've got a subscription that Amazon sends me a big box of 48 nappies or whatever it is for my kid every month or every second month, whatever the frequency is, and that works out cheaper than buying it at
the shop,
at Coles or Woolies or wherever. Because when you get a subscription, when you subscribe to a product, you get a 10 or sometimes 15% discount to Amazon's rate. So Amazon generally is well, not always, but sometimes is cheaper anyway. But then with the subscription, you get the 10 or 15% less as well, plus free delivery. It's so you don't have to buy anything that's bulky. Toilet paper is one, right? Anything I buy big packs at say a month or 2 months apart, and it's delivered to my door, so I don't have to carry these things to my car in a shopping centre. I get it cheaper than normal shopping centre rate. This is the future, mate. I don't know why more people aren't doing it. So that $7 a month for the Amazon Prime subscription pays for itself easily with all the products that I get a discount on.
Yeah, so Amazon Prime subscription gives you TV, I assume?
So yeah, it does. So you get TV and the Prime, so the free delivery over $39 or whatever it is.
So the only reason I care about it is to watch the Grand Tour. That's it.
Get it for that. It's probably the one that actually Fetch is probably the one that I watch the least. But I probably watch Foxtel the most, then Netflix, then Amazon, and then occasionally Fetch. I could probably even get rid of Fetch.
I'm going to get rid of Foxtel. It's useless.
I just use KO. I just got the KO app and just do the sport, and that's it.
I'm going to cancel my Foxtel subscription. It's just I'll be honest, I miss the box because I just record everything. That's what I'll miss.
I'll tell you what, Bart, and you guys might not agree with me, but a shout out to ABC because their app is amazing.
And SBS app is good too.
Mate, for the much flack the ABC get, for getting funded by the government and stuff, the fact that their app shits all over Channel 7, Channel 9, Channel 10's app, like actually shits on it. The ease of use, the access, the buffering. I was like, mate, honestly, you can put that on. Like the ABC Kids app, phenomenal.
I do agree, yeah.
I actually like the SBS one. I reckon that's really good.
SBS on demand.
Yeah, it's pretty good too.
Yeah, it's good. That doesn't have ads, does it?
Yeah, it does, but not much. Never.
But this is what I don't get. How can ABC have an app like that and Channel 7's, I don't know if you've ever tried using it.
Well, it's a new one. It's a new one now, but they just updated it.
Mate, I was like, you actually are for profit and you're making money and this is the shit you're delivering to your clients, like your customers. It's actually shit. Like it's like the ad starts and then it replays back to the beginning. And I was like, mate, compared to ABC iView, it's not even in the same league, mate.
But in Channel 7's defense, the new app's a lot better than the last one. It just came out like 2 weeks ago, not even.
Couldn't be worse. Far out.
It's definitely not that. It's a lot better. Definitely a lot better.
I must admit, in terms of comedies, like ABC comedies, mate, they're up there with some of the best comedies on TV at the moment.
Have you actually seen what 8 out of Cats does the countdown? 8 out of 10 Cats does the countdown? Have you seen one yet?
I've got to write this down because you mentioned it the other day. I still haven't seen it. 8 out of 10 Cats.
8 out of 10.
Is that what it's called?
Does the countdown, but you need to write 8 out of 10 because 8 out of 10 Cats. Then there's the countdown, but this is a combined.
8 out of 10 Cats does the countdown. I've got to look that up.
Jimmy Carr.
Oh, Jimmy Carr, yeah, he's a lot. All right. And I keep telling you, you've got to watch Afterlife with Ricky Gervais on Netflix. That's just the greatest show on Netflix.
The greatest show was the Aventus one. I really enjoyed that.
Yeah, I wonder if they're going to keep doing that one.
I really enjoyed that one. That was good. That was brilliant. It got me really into it at the time.
Yeah, Netflix has got so much good content. Like sometimes I sit there just scrolling through, watching the trailers, trying to find something to watch. And it's like an hour's gone by. I haven't even started watching anything. I've just been scrolling through to work out what I do want to watch. So, yeah.
That's the new video store. Remember?
Exactly.
That's what it is. It's just not the same. I said, wait for the next guy to see, get the VR goggles.
I don't have to go out to the video store in my pajamas and Ugg boots, right? At 9 o'clock at night, I can lay on my couch.
That's true. There was something so exciting, though, about going to the store when you were 9 years old, 10 years old.
You get that shitty popcorn in the plastic at the front.
Nothing like it. Nothing like it.
The multicolored popcorn? That's just wrong.
No, that's not
crap.
No. But do you know what's sad, really, as a business model, was that from my research says that Blockbuster actually had first rights to purchase Netflix.
Oh, they turned it down.
They turned it down. They go, who would want to watch that?
The service at the time was different, though. The Netflix that they were meant to buy was like that red box, where you order it in the mail and it comes.
I was going to say there was one here called QuickFlix.
Yeah,
I think it was.
Yeah, same thing. It was like that.
Right. Yeah. I actually went for a job interview at QuickFlix in Perth years back. It was, I don't know, to do an IT job or something like that.
You'd have been made redundant real fast.
Yeah, no, well, that's all right. A redundancy is good. Hand over the money.
Oh, he could have written the code for the new Netflix. You don't know. Could have gone either way.
That's it. Yeah, if I was a programmer, but I'm not.
But that's not uncommon for businesses to miss opportunity. So that's exactly like a friend of mine was telling me about, the National Enquirer. The National Enquirer, the magazine there.
Yeah.
So the one I'm talking about.
Yeah, I've seen it.
They used to do all the UFO sighting shit and all that, right?
Oh, did they? Okay.
So apparently they were the biggest magazine they by accident became, I think it was one of the biggest marketing companies in the world by accident because of circumstance. So what actually happened was that they had some dirt on the guy who owned the magazine racks. So in all the kiosks and stuff like that. And they were going to release some things. He's like, what do you want? And they're like, oh, we want our magazine on the top shelf, right? So they had their magazine. But then other companies started approaching them to say, well, can you put our magazine on the top shelf? So they then started making money from selling the advertising space rather than actually doing the newspaper. That's how they made their money. So it's like that. It's just opportunity comes, and some businesses take it, some don't. Blockbuster might have been completely different, but I suppose you don't know.
I think Blockbuster was just a company that was, what's the word? Got to be complacent.
But there's no different to Kodak.
I was just going to bring up Kodak. They're another one that missed an opportunity as well.
Yeah, no, 100%.
You've got your business needs to evolve with changing times and technology.
Nokia.
Perfect example. BlackBerry.
They're starting to come back though, aren't they? Well, they have started to come back.
But that's not the original Nokia. It's been sold and ripped up. And
right. Okay.
Yeah.
But that happens unless you evolve and you change and you just take you where the market takes you. You can easily die, especially those technology-based businesses when technology outpaces you. If you don't stay,
I suppose you look at Nokia, right? They're the market leader of mobile phones, right? Let's call them dumb phones. Then smartphones comes along with the iPhone. First of all, was that was the first one, pretty much?
Oh, the BlackBerry was.
The BlackBerry was pretty big then.
Okay, the BlackBerry was probably half and half, you could say, right? But it really took off with the iPhone.
Yeah,
the smartphone technology. I suppose Nokia might have looked at that and gone, you know what, we're not going to go down that path because we need to be different. So let's just try and do our dumb phones better, maybe.
No,
right?
not necessarily. You could. Nokia did have the flip. They actually had a flip phone that was a color screen for emailing. They had a full size keyboard on it. They actually did that. Then they had the half screen to compete against the BlackBerry. I just think they were
that inferior product that costs more money.
I suppose at the end of the day, when you're trying to chase someone else's technology, you're always behind the eight ball.
That's what it was. Their software was a bit shit. Their Nokia software was crap. I actually had a Nokia, I remember, with a full size.
What happened to Windows Phone?
That died. I got one, I think, too.
Did you have one?
Yeah. I actually had two Windows.
They stopped making it.
I had two Windows.
Stopped making it.
Yeah, stopped making it.
It makes so much sense. Like, I've always used Windows on PC or laptop, right? It would make so much sense for it to be seamless that, my mobile phone is Windows Phone and just the two sync perfectly.
Yeah, but Android does that anyway, so it already does it.
Do you know what came from the Windows Phone though? So that was the first phone to have a paper screen. So in full sunlight, when you look at your phone, you can't see shit.
No,
the Windows Phone had a Kindle screen. So it didn't matter. You could see whatever, right?
White.
Yeah, the paper white screen. And it was like, holy shit, that's amazing. And I'm surprised that never took off more, though. I suppose you can't get the definition you can out of it.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it's good in that situation and that situation only. That's the only time you'd want that.
Essentially, it moved to Kindle. That's what uses that sort of technology.
That's great on Kindle.
Yeah,
I think.
that stuff's
because the time that I would read my Kindle, I've got a Kindle and it very rarely comes out. But the times that I would read it would be nighttime, but I don't want that light in my eyes.
Yeah.
So with the but then again, you don't have the light, the backlight, full stop, right? Do you?
No.
With the paper light. So you need the best of both worlds in some way. Clip the torch onto it. Those little lamps that you clip onto the top of it.
There's a marketing idea for you, mate. There's another one.
Well, no, they've already been done. It's too late. They've been done. The other night I was laying on the couch reading a book, right, in the dark, I had the light of my mobile phone, like the actual torch light of my mobile phone, shining on the book, and that hurt my eyes. So, yes, I do need something.
Oh, if they could do a combo of paper light and backlight, that'd be interesting.
Yeah,
invention.
Exactly right.
Do something like that.
There might be something. I don't know. Maybe Kindle's even got it.
Oh, they would have.
But it's amazing, but how technology's come so far. It's incredible. As the new fold phones with nothing bringing out.
Yeah. You got $2,000 lying around for a phone? Sorry, no.
Well, if you go buy a new Apple, that's what it's costing you, $1,800.
Are they really?
Yeah. You buy top of the range.
I haven't bought a new phone for probably 3 years, and I just don't see what for. Like the one I've got works fine, does everything that I need. I just can't see the point of upgrading for the sake of upgrading.
I personally don't like spending more than $300 on a phone because I just think it's.
Yeah, you're good at buying cheap phones, but then you're also chopping and changing your phones left, right, and
No,
centre.
not really. The only reason I changed my last Oppo was because my daughter threw it and she smashed it. She dropped it and smashed the screen.
You shouldn't have made her angry, Mel.
No, sorry. I didn't make it. She dropped it. She was, but anyway.
It was probably the commercials on YouTube. That's what it was, isn't it?
Can you just buy YouTube Premium, Mel? Bloody hell. I'll show you how to do it.
And to be honest, what was the point? To get the screen replaced was like $240 or something. The phone's $300. Why would I change the screen? So, and I'm really happy with Oppo. I reckon it's a good phone. Besides being owned by the Chinese, but
Oppo, is that like another Huawei?
yeah, pretty much.
Are they Chinese or Malaysian?
They're Chinese, I think. Very big in Malaysia, bro.
They're huge in Malaysia.
Huge in Malaysia. Massive company.
I like Samsungs. I've stuck to Samsung for many years. Just it's so much easier. I don't have time to learn how to use new devices. I just whenever I do, I probably change my phone every 3 or so years, and I just get the upgraded version of what I've already got.
The last Samsung I had though, the Bixby button. I was like, nah, this just ruined the experience for me.
Yeah, I just keep away from that Bixby thing.
Nah.
Sometimes you knock it, but
they don't have it anymore.
Can't turn it off. It was just, I was like, this is a shambles. Get rid of this.
What is it anyway? I've got it, but I've never used it.
Siri,
the Siri. Okay.
Did nothing. It was just an inconvenience. I was like, mate, you're not making my experience any better by adding this button.
Just don't press the button.
Well, but that's the thing. It was on the side so that you'd consistently, if it touched, boom, Bixby. It's far out again. And it was one of those buttons where it would always, it would overtake everything.
Oh, and you know what? When you're on the home screen, I'm just looking at it now.
Yeah.
If you swipe to the right, so the thing that comes up is Bixby. And then you've got to, once you to
pain in the ass, mate.
Sign up and agree, whatever.
And the other thing about Samsung I don't like about their phones is the battery is shit. Their battery is horrible.
Well, I think their phones, Samsung phones now, you can't take the battery out. They're part of the phone.
Yeah, generally, if they're all the waterproof stuff now. If they're all waterproof, you can't take the batteries out anymore.
So I think the new versions are all 5G now.
Yeah.
So I don't want to buy a 5G phone until it's more common.
Are you worried about?
Just in case the conspiracy nut jobs are right, and I'm going to catch coronavirus.
The 5G hits my house, so maybe I'm a bit at risk now at the moment, am I?
Are you in a 5G zone?
My house is in where I'm at the moment. Yeah, falls in a 5G area. Yeah. So I was like, compared to, I'd be very tempted to change my phone to 5G because my NBN's pretty shit house. I don't understand how my phone internet is better than my NBN. But anyway, that's
$50 billion we spent on some high quality infrastructure.
As much as people bang on about our internet being shit, which it is, people forget that our mobile internet is probably in the top 5 in the world. So, and it more than compensates for a shit NBN.
Is it really?
Yeah.
Jeez.
So, you forget that perspective. Yes, our NBN shit, but for the stuff that most people use, which is your phone daily and consistently, that is some of the best in the world. So we do bag our I suppose our government for giving us shit NBN, and in all honesty, it is pretty shit. But if you actually compare to what you're getting on your phone, I would rather have better phone internet than I would have NBN because I'm consistently using my phone.
I mean, you can also hotspot from your phone to your computer if you need.
And apparently as well, like if you do per megabyte, it's some of the cheapest data in the world as well.
Don't a lot of plans give you unlimited download?
Yeah,
for free. Mine's 15 gigabytes, which is plenty. It's like I would never use more than 15 gigabytes in a month. On my mobile, I'm lucky if I use 1.5.
Yeah, no, I use a bit on my mobile. No, I use a bit.
Yeah, I do as well.
Well, it's because I'm always in Wi-Fi zones. That's why. At home or at work, it's only in between those places that I'll use the actual 4G.
No, I'd prefer to use my 4G. So I actually reckon it's faster than the Wi-Fi that I get in most places.
Well, at home, no, and at work, no, the Wi-Fi is fine on for mobile.
See, my daughter,
I got no problem.
My daughter always uses my hotspot for. Well, you haven't got to this problem yet, Simon, but Roblox, the game. So I'm sure people who have 8-year-old daughters and 10-year-old daughters will understand.
I've never heard of this.
Oh, yeah, well, you will hear it.
Come on, mate.
You will hear about it when you're a bit older.
Man, well, this is a perfect example of things coming back, right? Roblox.
You know what
Roblox looks like? Commodore 64 shit.
Yeah, it's pretty shit.
8-bit. Like Minecraft sort of stuff? Looks like that.
Yeah, I was going to say, is it something like Minecraft?
Yeah. And you're like, man, it's gone back to this. You can pretty much, they do FIFA now where, each player has 10,000 actual hairs because they render it like that. But these kids are using Roblox, which is like 8-bit squares. And they use a hammer that doesn't go; it just goes up and down. That's it.
So it's worse than original Super Mario.
Oh, it's like that level. It's 3D, like you follow. Yeah,
it's 3D, but just blocks. There's no angle.
Remember the old Donkey Kong flip device?
Donkey Kong flip.
You had your two. You'd flip it down and up, right? So it had two screens.
I remember the two screens.
Donkey Kong.
The two screens, yeah. Up and you open it.
Yeah, you open it up like a mobile phone, I suppose, that you flip up.
Yeah.
They were awesome.
I remember the good old days. I remember those little handheld games we used to buy. We used to have like the race car, and there was only one game. You could only go left or right, whatever it was. Remember all them?
Well, they were the best, like the old Atari 2600. I used to love that thing, man. And I would Kung Fu Master. That was mine. I would clock that like 3 times over. I was so good at that. River Raid.
Frogger.
Enduro. You'd have the paddle.
Oh,
Enduro was the car race. You have the paddle.
California Games. California
Chopper Command. Did you say Chopper Command?
No, Chopper. No. River Raid. Yeah, Pitfall.
Jeez, fellas.
Oh, yeah, Pitfall. Tom, come on, mate. Where were you?
I was probably in nappy still, fellas. Far out.
You were probably born with a Game Boy in your hand.
I had Sega Master System was the first one. I had Alex the Kid, mate.
Oh, no, I never played that.
No, I see you missed it out. Alex the Kid was classic.
Yeah, then we had Prince of Persia. That was another one.
No, I didn't play that one.
I see. I had like Mega Drive and then N64 and all that sort of, and then PlayStation. So I went through that period.
So I had a Commodore 64, I had an Atari 2600, and I had a Sega Master System. Then after that, I lost interest.
So, but after that was like when they went to the Mega System, where they had the Sonic the Hedgehog, and that sort of started happening.
I was never into that stuff. Honestly, the only gaming device I ever had as a kid was the Atari 2600, and I never upgraded from there until we got like the first, $5,000 desktop computer in high school.
Oh yeah.
And then it was just, PC games like FIFA. I remember FIFA 98.
Oh, that was classic game.
Do you remember there was the Player Manager game? That was good. Remember that one?
Yeah. It was just all text-based.
It was all text-based, and you just Player Manager, remember?
And you were just, that was brilliant. But what you could do is you could save your spot, and if you had a bad result, you could restart the computer and go back and replay that game and keep doing that until you win. And I would win the championship doing that. You just work out how to cheat the system.
And and that's what the kids are still playing these days, still with the blocks, still doing the same shit.
That's like Alex the Kid. Alex the Kid there, he got a rock, paper, scissors. it's always the same algorithm. You know what I mean? So you just got to remember what it was. So then you go through the whole game. It's always the same one. Oh my God!
No, but I keep as much as we can. We try to keep the device out of my daughter's hands, like the device, the mobile phone.
Mm.
She's always, not always, but sometimes she tries to get it. But you know what for? She either wants to look at photos or YouTube.
Mm.
And I tell her, why do you want to watch YouTube for? You've got it on the computer. But it's just the novelty that she gets to watch it up close in her face, kind of thing.
Yeah, my daughter, the same YouTube. My older daughter's into these Roblox, but my younger daughter's into YouTube.
YouTube's got some weird things on it, though. You do have to kind of pay attention sometimes because there's some strange shit going on.
Oh, yeah. I monitor what she looks at because, look at the history and I block channels that, if there's any.
That's why the YouTube Kids app is good because it's only got the kids stuff.
Well, I've actually, funnily enough, got the normal YouTube and also the YouTube Kids app. Both of those are on the TV.
Because the kids one, at least has sort of like they've okayed it beforehand.
But the beauty about having YouTube Premium is I've set up her own account. Well, it's actually under my wife's account, but my daughter uses that as her account. So that's just all the channels that she likes. It's all the kids stuff, and it doesn't have to mix with mine because my YouTube account I use for business stuff, and things like that. So I don't want that mixed with bloody, Blippy and all this nonsense.
My YouTube channels are Cold War. There's so much stuff on the Cold War. I love it. Flight, people who do aviation. I love watching that sort of stuff. Cars, and Top Gear. A lot of Top Gear. That's what my channels are all.
If you actually want to watch something weird on YouTube that stems from YouTube, if you talk about conspiracy theories sometimes, and me and Mel will have very different opinion on what considered a conspiracy theory. But anyway, that's another issue.
All right, we should open this can of worms, I think.
No, we've got time.
Yeah, no.
Hey, it's a podcast. We can go as long or as short as we want.
So I was like, well, my main thing about a conspiracy theory is like, well, there has to be a point to it. So you can't just have a theory that doesn't have a result. Like it needs to. So if this is the theory, why are they doing that though? It's got to.
All right, that makes plenty of sense. But that's you thinking that through, not the conspiracy nut job thinking.
On the flip side, how are you supposed to know what they were trying to hide?
But that's the point. That's what I'm trying to say. Is that what kind of theory is that if it doesn't have a point to it?
The idea is you're not supposed to know the point.
No, that's not what it is. So, all right, before I go any further, what I was going to mention is if you ever get the chance, just watch Elsa Gate. Have you ever heard of Elsa Gate on YouTube?
How do you, what?
Elsa Gate.
Spell it.
ELSA, like Frozen, Elsa.
Okay, all right.
And then Gate, GATE. And this kind of a little, it's not really a conspiracy theory, but what happens is there's kind of like people that put shit on there that's kind of like grooming children on YouTube. So you're supposed to be aware of it. And then people like show you, they show you the videos that are up on YouTube that aren't really for children, but pretend to be for children. It's kind of weird, man. Like takes you into a bit of a rabbit hole when you're looking at it. And it kind of turns you off a bit to watching, like leaving the kid alone on YouTube. Because when you see some of the videos, you're like,
yeah, that makes sense. But I'm pretty sure that's never come up on what my daughter watches, mainly because she's not watching it in her bedroom. It's in the living, the family room, right? So we pretty much see whatever comes up. And she mostly watches like official channels, like I mentioned 1,000 times. Blippy proper channel, and Wiggles, things like that. So I don't think that anything's getting through, and I can go through the history, and I'm pretty sure I haven't seen anything dodgy. But yeah, that's interesting.
Yeah, if you just watch a couple of little YouTube videos on it, you're like, yeah, that's a bit fucked up. Like some of the stuff that happens on there, you're like, all right, there, I never really thought about that, but yeah, it's a bit strange.
It's so easy these days because parents don't monitor what their kids are doing, or let them go on, on the devices in their bedroom. That's one thing that's never going to happen in my house. Like my kid's never going to have a TV or a computer in their bedroom, right? Because I want to be following and monitoring what they're up to.
The whole thing about it was it's like it looks like it's an innocent thing, but actually when you watch it on video, it's actually not. It's like, all right, that's really strange and really weird. But yeah, if you ever get the chance, follow that one.
So hang on, is it like it's a kid's show or cartoon, and then in the middle of it they cut to something else that's, not appropriate for them, or is it more subliminal?
But definitely a lot of subliminal stuff, or they change so they'll venture into like doing a normal video and then it almost turns like scary on purpose. Like it's a bit of like, it's a weird shit going on. If you ever get the chance, watch it and you'll come back to me like, yeah, that's just that. People do little documentaries on it and explain what's happening. And there's thousands of them on there you can see, and they say, well, you stay away from this and stuff like that.
But is YouTube actually trying to get this content off? Well,
that's the thing. It's unless somebody reports it and they're targeted at children, and children don't report the stuff. So that's why and that's why it always started. They were using this to push agendas, basically. But that's one of those ones.
So what type of agendas are we talking about?
Well, they're trying to groom children. A lot of it was for grooming children.
Pedophilia stuff.
Yeah, so that sort of shit. Yeah. So
it's my skin cross.
Yeah, that's why I'm like, when you see that, you're like, oh, yeah. And then they show you examples that were on YouTube, and you're like, yeah, that's a bit fucked up. But stuff like that. But yeah, I don't know if we have enough time to talk about our conspiracy theories. So
we got plenty of time.
I don't know. Me and Matt will get a bit heated there sometimes.
Yeah, no.
Because it all generally stems from, and you talked about this, I don't think it was last week or the week before, where you're talking about Tower 7. The Tower 7.
Okay. What did we get wrong? Did we get something wrong?
Not you get wrong, okay? And, this is the thing about conspiracy theories, right? Okay, so Metal keeps going on about, well, they do it and to blow up Tower 7. They wanted to get rid of Tower 7 or something in Tower 7. Is that the common held theory?
No. My question is, why did Tower 7?
I don't know.
That's all I ask.
I don't know. I don't have a conclusion. It seems weird to me that that thing fell so fast. That's all.
The common thing is, but there was some files in the Building 7 or whatever. They blowing it up,
stuff,
whatever. So they blew it up. Okay, something along those lines, right? So
yeah.
Now, and then there's some other ones where they blew up the towers to actually blow up Tower 7. You know that one there? Have you heard that one as well? Where they blew up the big twin towers because they really wanted.
The whole point of 9/11 was to get rid of Building 7.
That's a theory as well. And I'm like, seriously, that's just ridiculous. But anyway, yes. Have you heard that one?
No.
And it stems me back to, well, if you just wanted to blow up Tower 7, just blow up Tower 7.
Just fly a plane into that one.
That's what I'm saying. I don't understand this. Like, why bother building the other two? You could have done that, and then the same theory would have existed. I don't get it. I don't understand.
Then there's the Larry Silverstein connection. I can't remember exactly what it was. Oh, that's right. The buildings were full of asbestos or something, and like asbestos cladding or something, and they needed to rectify that. It was going to cost billions of dollars. So better to drop them and get the insurance money, something like that. Yeah.
But the biggest problem with the Twin Towers was the large amount of asbestos they contained. Built in a time when the use of asbestos was still allowed in civil construction, at least 400 tons of this extremely dangerous material had been used to fireproof the steel structure of the buildings and to insulate hundreds of miles of pipings for water, heating, and air conditioning. Asbestos was also present in the ceiling panels, the elevator shafts, and the vinyl tiles from office floors. From a property condition assessment of the Twin Towers dated December 2000, we read, according to Port Authority records, a total of 7 million square feet of vinyl asbestos floor tiles were installed in the World Trade Center. By the time asbestos was banned from civil construction, the Twin Towers were nearing their completion. Initially, the asbestos was encapsulated wherever possible to prevent the particles from being inhaled. But in the 1990s, the regulations grew tighter, and every time a simple renovation was needed, the complete removal and replacement of the asbestos was also required. At the same time, because of the health risk it posed, the cost of asbestos removal and abatement had been skyrocketing. Safety procedures required the areas to be treated to be vacated in advance, hermetically sealed, and kept under negative pressure at all times to prevent particles from escaping outside. Only specialized workers could access the area, wearing airtight suits and respirators. A full decontamination process was required every time they left the area. In the mid-90s, the Port Authority put out different bids for the removal and replacement of the asbestos in a case-by-case scenario. For example, this is a 1995 contract for the installation of 2 low-voltage substations in Towers 1 and 2. One section in the contract listed the replacement of asbestos at floors 41, 42, 75, and 76 in Tower 1 and floors 75 and 76 in Tower 2. Total cost for the asbestos removal and replacement, $868,000. Tower 2, 40th floor. Contract for asbestos removal and abatement. Total cost, $650,000. Towers 1 and 2, removal of asbestos and new ceilings at floors 7, 41, and 75. Total cost, $882,000. It soon became clear that the Twin Towers were quickly turning from a prestigious asset into a serious liability.
That's the thing about conspiracy theories. I'm like,
he's dodgy, but come on, that Larry Silverstein. You've seen the interview where he says that that one morning out of
the only morning
he went to get a skin cancer check or something. Normally has a meeting every morning in the Windows of the World restaurant at 8 a.m. or something, or whatever it was, every morning. But that one morning, his wife insisted, and just the way he talks, he's dodgy as all fuck. There's no two ways about it that he's a lying prick.
Where were you on September 11th?
I was home. And the only reason I wasn't where I was every morning, subsequent to the 26th day of July, my mornings were spent usually at a breakfast meeting at Windows, an 8 o'clock breakfast meeting, Windows, the top of it. And so my mornings were spent at the Trade Center. And then by noon, I was back uptown. And so that particular morning, because I have light-colored hair and fair skin, and I'm an annuity to the dermatologist, my wife, God bless her, had made an appointment for me at the doctor. And I remember dressing to go to the doctor and finally saying to my wife, I said, sweetheart, I've got so much to do downtown. I got to cancel this. I've got to go downtown. And she said, you're not going to cancel this appointment. You're going to the dermatologist. Having been married now to the same woman for 46 years, you get this sense of determination on occasion, their voices. And I said, okay, yes, dear, I'll go. And then just minutes later, received a telephone call to turn on a television set and witnessed this horrendous circumstance. The first plane hitting and then the second plane hitting. Of course, with the second hit, it became obvious that this was terrorism.
but there's a lot of them that have lied about, they were meant to be, like Mark Wahlberg, I was meant to be on that flight if I was on that flight.
What I'm saying is you can tell when by people's body language and their manner of speech when someone's a dodgy, slimy character.
Mm.
Don't you think?
He's dodgy. He's dodgy, that one.
He's dodgy as they come.
Mm.
So, I don't know. That just makes me think maybe there's something behind some insurance stuff. You never know. At least, I'm not saying I'm landing on it. I'm just saying my mind's open to that.
This is what kills me. Why would they then blow that? They would have got the insurance anyway. Surely that building would have been fucked after the other two buildings fell down.
The building 7. No, but he wanted the insurance on because he owned the whole lot, didn't he?
He owned all of them, yeah.
He wanted the insurance of the Twin Towers.
Yeah, and the Tower 7.
And I don't know.
Surely, if you're going to, this is what I'm trying to understand. If you're going to go to that effort to blow a building down, I'm pretty sure you could pay an engineer, like some dude, to say that building's is now defective. You have to knock it down because of the other two. You wouldn't have to just go blow it up. That makes no sense. That's so much more effort than what you'd have to do. It's like the moon landing one. It's like, why would you go and fake the moon landing when it would have been easier to just go to the moon?
Well, I don't give any credence whatsoever in moon landing conspiracy.
Well, because they're bullshit. But
they did it, and that's the end of it.
But the arguments are there. I'm like, but why would you try to fake something when it was just as much effort to do it? That makes no sense. You would just do it. Why would you try faking it?
What are you saying? How can they just demolish a building?
Yeah, it's not that simple.
Just to do it. They needed a reason. If this is, the reason why they wanted to get rid of it, they needed a reason.
But if you just wanted to get rid of Tower 7, why get rid of the other two towers? That's just
totally. You would just fly a plane, even bloody 2 planes fly them into it.
Just blow it up and claim it as a terrorist attack. The same thing. You could have literally done the same thing. Like, honestly, that's what makes no sense. I don't get it.
But maybe he wanted those buildings down as well. Like you said, the asbestos.
Like I said, he wanted. There was an asbestos issue. I don't know. Someone could have pulled that out of their ass. I don't know. It could be total nonsense, but that's something I've read or heard.
The fact that the two major towers fell down, surely if you were really trying to knock Tower 7 down as well, there would have been plenty of ways you could have just said, we can't have this tower anymore. It's defective now. We've got to get rid of it. Surely.
Their argument is it's been damaged by the falling debris from Towers 1 and 2, and a handful of floors were on fire. Now, before 9/11, this may or may not be true, but what I have also heard is that no building anywhere in the world in the history of mankind, no building has ever fallen down because it was on fire. That day, 3 did.
And funny, because like I saw a building in China. It was the CCTV building, burnt to a crisp, and was still standing. Crisp.
Or the one in London.
That was not Glencoe Tower, yeah.
2 years ago. You ever seen a building more burnt out than that? That didn't fall down.
Type CCTV building, Beijing, fire.
That's pretty fascinating. But having said that, if 3 buildings are going to fall down for that reason, it would make sense that they're 3 of the same built buildings, right?
Fair enough. Yep. I'll give you that.
If one's built like that and it does the same thing, then the other one's like logically that might happen to the other one as well, right?
Yeah.
So I'm like, well, I don't like the fact that 1 of 3 is irrelevant. As long as 1 fell down, then it makes sense the other 2 would fall down. Well, the answer to the other 2 would be the same as the first one.
So I'm just just go on Google, type in CCTV Tower Beijing. Just to look at that fire. Just have a look at that fire.
But to preface this to anyone who's listening, right? What year was that building built?
That one there?
CCTV.
2005, 2006.
Okay. What year was the World Trade Center built?
1972.
There's a little bit difference happening in 40 years. A little bit. Admit there's a little bit of building difference, right?
Like I said, I am not too much nut job to land on a conclusion. All right, I don't know, but there's nothing that anyone can tell me that will make me stop thinking that 9/11 is not fully the way the official story is. Okay, there's dodgy shit behind 9/11, and you don't need to be a conspiracy nut job to see what's obvious.
Where's the plane?
Hey, what do you mean? Where's the plane? The plane hit the building.
No, the one, the Pentagon. Where's the leftover of that one?
I'll get to that in a sec. But anyway,
where's the one in Pennsylvania? Where's that plane?
Yeah, I'll get to that as well in a sec. But the main thing, like generally the obvious answer is probably the case. Like if you want to go a conspiracy theory, like this is what I don't get. The conspiracy theory about the 9/11, if you want to call it that, right? What purpose would blowing 2 buildings, 3 buildings be to the Americans? What purpose would it be? If you want to go to a conspiracy theory,
I don't know. Like I said, I don't have a conclusion, a reason. I don't know.
The only benefit you'd get is if you want to use that as an excuse to go to war, maybe, if you wanted to do that, right?
That could be part of it.
That could be part of it, right? But I could do a lot of things to give you an excuse to go to war. You didn't have to blow down 2 buildings.
Oh, they tried to blow one up and they didn't go to war over that, did they? Back in 93, sorry.
You're talking about Bomber.
One of the towers.
Yeah, tried to blow it up.
In the basement. There was a
That was an American dude.
No, it wasn't.
You're talking about the what was that, the Oklahoma
That's
one?
Oklahoma. The 1993, the basement bombing of the World Trade Center was done by terrorists with the same ones to do supposedly the tower.
If you want to go to a real conspiracy theory, the Oklahoma one's actually probably a legit one because I
think we've mentioned that before. There's a documentary about it which I still have never watched
because he was a CIA sort of test.
They reckon that McVeigh, they set him up as a patsy.
Yeah, they cooked him.
Again, I don't know enough about it to go there. So
the one about the what was it? What was that term for the government that they were in metal? Was that MK Ultra or whatever it was?
MK Ultra. Yeah.
That's the mind programming stuff.
Yeah, then they fried him a bit and they made him more paranoid, and that's why he went and did. That's one of them. But
so he did do it, but they programmed him to go.
no, they programmed to do it. It's just they kind of made him a bit psycho.
Well, the Unabomber was one, wasn't he?
Yeah, the Unabomber. That's the one we're talking about. Not the McVeigh, the one that did the school shooting.
God, we're all over the place here. What's the Unabomber story? Wasn't he trying to blow up a plane? Is that one?
Wasn't that the Oklahoma?
No, different. That's a different guy again. Timothy McVeigh was one.
Yeah, that's the school. That's Columbine.
No, it's not. No.
McVeigh is Oklahoma building.
Timothy McVeigh's Oklahoma. Then you have.
That's completely different one to Unabomber, whatever that is.
He was sending packages to people to blow them up. Remember?
Oh, they caught him.
They caught him. Yeah.
Yeah, he's an American dude. He was a cook guy.
So is he still alive and still in jail?
Oh, no. But he was a CIA guy, I think, the Unabomber.
But anyway, do you want me to go back to the?
Let's just stick to one conspiracy theory for today. The plane at the Pentagon and the field in where it was.
The plane at the Pentagon, why do you find it strange that there's no plane? I don't understand that. Why is that strange?
Man, they found the wreckage. They found pieces of MH370 that landed in the middle of the fucking ocean.
I get that. No, but what I'm saying is it's the Pentagon. So, of course, they're not going to tell you anything of what's happened. That's what I'm saying. I was like, well, the conspiracy theory is whether there's not a plane or not. It's just they're not telling you any information. That's what I'm saying. I was like, well, but that's not strange that they'll give you nothing information about the Pentagon. I don't find that strange. They don't give you any information about it anyway.
So what are the I suppose the conspiracy reasoning about the Pentagon is that a big kind of rectangle or whatever was pretty much taken out, but where the wings would have hit, there's no damage or something like that. That's, I don't know.
But it's not strange that they're not releasing information from the Pentagon. That's the thing about that one. That does not surprise me that they don't give people the information of what happened there. It's the fucking Pentagon, man. Of course they're not giving you information about that.
The wreckage, the photos after, that you would see something of a plane. You would see surely you'd see something. Lockerbie blew up in the middle of the sky. You got fragments of a plane. You would see something. You'd see a piece of sheet metal, for Christ's sake.
But this is what I'm trying to say to you about a conspiracy theory. The theory there should be the government is withholding information from us, which, yeah, they probably are. But is that strange that they're doing that at the Pentagon?
No.
Well, that's what I don't get. But no shit, they're not telling you everything. That's the Pentagon.
Some people, and look, I'm not one of them, but some people say that it wasn't a plane that hit the Pentagon. It was like a guided missile.
Yeah, but even if that's the case, what difference does it make?
If it was a guided missile rather than an airliner, then the military did it to themselves for whatever particular reason. And then there's something about Donald Rumsfeld had said there was billions of dollars or trillions of dollars missing because I don't know. I can't talk definitively on this because I don't have the patience to study it.
This brings me back to my original thing about conspiracy theories. You have to have a point. If you're going to say that it was actually a guided missile, I'll make one for you, right?
I just like talking about it. It's interesting.
Yeah, I know, but this is why I'm saying when people bring up a story like this, right, and they say it was I'm just saying hypothetically it was a guided missile, right? So if the original intent was to try and get America to go to war, they could have done that with just a guided missile to the Pentagon. That would have been in itself enough.
Yeah.
So I'm like, well, I don't understand. Like, you got to have the point at the end to get there, and I don't get that what's happening.
But my argument, my theory is this: how on earth is any mere mortal supposed to know what the point is? How are we going to know?
That's not what I'm saying to you, Metal. What I'm saying to you is a conspiracy theory. If somebody's going to generate a conspiracy theory, right? If somebody's going to go on there and generate one, it has to have a point. That's the point of a conspiracy theory.
Okay, what I'm saying is, regardless of whatever theory it is, this does not add up. A simple person would say, yeah, something's not right here. Surely, the evidence shows you it doesn't add up. There's something there that does not add up.
Okay, yeah, but you're blurring the distinction between a conspiracy theory and them not giving you information. They're not the same thing. Like a conspiracy theory, the whole purpose is that what is the given theory, right, that people accept as fact, right? We'll say as fact, right, is completely not the case. It's been fabricated to give you a different opinion. That's not necessarily what's happening here. I agree, there's no plane, but the fact that they possibly just took all the wreckage on purpose, like that's not surprising for the Pentagon to me. That's not.
Yeah, but okay, they take the wreckage. Hang on. You can't take the wreckage in 24 minutes.
Who said it was 24 minutes, but this is what I'm saying to you. Who said it's 24 minutes?
It's more like 24 seconds. 24 seconds after that, I suppose, a plane hit the Pentagon, there were cameras on it.
If you want to take a conspiracy theory from 9/11, right, this is the one that you would take, okay?
All right, let's hear it.
Pennsylvania now. We'll go to Pennsylvania, all right? That was first reported. So if you go look at it, it was first reported as the US shot down a passenger plane.
It was reported?
Yes.
By actual news outlets?
Yes. All right. Now, that is possibly what happened because that makes sense. But then the government kind of said to them, look, don't say that to people. Just say that they pushed it down and they were heroes and blah, blah, blah. That makes sense, right?
Where was it heading to? New York or Washington?
Washington.
So it was potentially going to the White House?
The White House, apparently.
So, but that's apparently how it was first reported, right?
That would make sense. That would make sense.
But that's again, not strange. Like,
so they had to sacrifice civilians.
Yeah, that's right. And
in a way,
to
take out the terrorists.
And I don't think anyone would say, well, we kind of. I think there's you got obviously you get backlash, but I don't know if the backlash would be as big as look, we didn't know where they were going to blow it up. Could have killed another 3,000 people instead of knocking the plane down, right? So you don't know that.
I would totally see why they would never release that information because that's kind of like a taboo thing in a way. They potentially had to do it.
Yeah. So, but that's the whole thing about.
But it's a taboo because the government is technically killing its own citizens. It's a scary thought.
That theory has a point. They just don't want people to know that they blew it down, so they told them, "Hey, don't say that. Say they wrestled it down. It crashed down." Right?
Yeah.
That could have also been what happened at the White House medal. They actually could have tried to shut it down, and fucking that's what happened. But they're not going to tell people that, are they?
At the Pentagon, you mean?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, but there has to be. All I'm saying is, there's got to be wreckage somewhere of a plane. That's all I'm saying. Because the photos of the bomb that happened and the building's still on fire. I don't see a wing or an engine or a tail or a rotor or a wheel. Nothing.
Do you want me to write a conspiracy theory for you right now? I'll write a conspiracy theory. Right now, there's no wreckage because I'll actually make one up right now as we're talking, right? There's no wreckage.
Let's put this out there so other people can actually hear it. That'd be great.
There's no wreckage at the Pentagon because the US shot it down. It didn't crash into it, and they didn't want proof that they hit it with a rocket. So they hid all the wreckage and said it fell down and we took it away. How you go? There's a conspiracy theory for it.
All right, hang on. Let's say that they did that. They shot down the one that hit the Pentagon.
I just made that up.
Why did it still hit the Pentagon?
But I just made that up. Exactly.
So, what I'm trying to say is, okay, if that is the case, where is the wreckage?
Why aren't we drinking? We should be drinking beers here, I reckon.
But Metal, I just said to you they took it away so people couldn't put it back together to say, oh, you blew it up.
So in the year 2001, when there was access to cameras and phones and stuff like that.
Nowhere near the same access as today.
Yeah, but there was still access because there's
and at the Pentagon, might I add, which you're not allowed to film.
Which is still access, right? That they were able to send the media there at the moment that it hit, and they managed to clear the wreckage pretty fast. So they were able to get logistically able to get all the trucks, all the army, and all the stuff to get the cranes in and everything to shift the plane out before the media got there. My God, amazing.
Yeah. Remember that whole saying: "Whoever controls the media controls the narrative." Do you remember that saying?
Mm-hmm.
All right. So is it so implausible, right, that they would say to the media outlets, mate, don't show that. Otherwise, yeah, you're not going to be showing anything else.
The one that hit the field, they also say that there's no plane wreckage there. No,
isn't there footage of that one?
And some people say that hole in the ground was already there too. I don't know. I'm not saying I even agree with that. It sounds a bit far-fetched, but I don't know. And then if we go back to Building 7, how about the BBC report before it fell saying that it had already fallen? Yeah. Did you see that?
What was that one? Say that again, sorry.
there's a BBC report that day standing in front of Building 7, like it's in the background a distance away, but you can see that Building 7. It's still standing. And the reporter is saying, presenter crossed to her and said, reports have come in that, another building, the Solomon building, whatever, which is Building 7, has recently fallen to the ground as well. It hadn't fallen yet. It fell like an hour later or something. How did they know that it was going to fall? Very strange one.
Yeah, but I'll bring back to the thing I've said the whole time. Yeah, what's the kind of the point of that conspiracy theory? But I don't understand what the difference of whether they blew up Tower 7 or it fell down itself. What purpose does that prove? I don't understand. What are we getting at with Tower 7?
How do you know their insurance policy didn't have something specifically covered?
But this is what I'm saying. I don't care.
We don't know the reason why they might have done it.
But a conspiracy theory is not a theory unless it has the point. Like, that's the whole point of a conspiracy theory. Like, it has to have a point to change the narrative. And if it doesn't, then it's just...
Okay, so it's not a conspiracy theory, it's conspiracy questions, let's call it, right?
Okay, thank you.
But it's just an unanswered question then. It's not a theory, conspiracy
theory. All right, then it's fine. All right, whatever definition or name or title you give it, that's fine, all right? We don't have a conspiracy theory that comes to a conclusion. And I keep saying that. I don't have any conclusions.
This is what I always bring up with Melo. I was like, but if it doesn't have a theory point to it, like, what difference does it make whether it fell down or you blew it up? Like, if it doesn't change anything, whether that sort of fact doesn't change anything anyway. It doesn't change whether they would have gone to war. Does it change? It doesn't change anything to do that. So I was like, whether it blew down or it didn't, what difference does it make?
I'll give you another one, right? You know the wreckage of the plane that supposedly no one can find because there's no wreckage, right?
Where are we talking about here?
Any of Pennsylvania or whatever, whichever one you want to talk about. The one there's no wreckage. Where's the wreckage, right? Now you think about it, right? In 1979, Skylab, which was a space station in fucking outer space, crashed in Western Australia and they're able to find the wreckage. So you're telling me that you're not able to find the wreckage of a plane in the middle of Pennsylvania, nothing, right? But you were able to find Skylab. They come through, burnt through because of the heat or whatever, it burns through the atmosphere, and fell, how many kilometres from the top of the earth. But they were able to find that, you know what I mean? That's in Western Australia, the remote West Australia, mind you.
As it came up when MH370 went missing, right? So what did they say about finding a transponder, for instance, right? So they have a transponder on there. Why do you have a transponder? Because you want to be found, right? So there's a distinction between whether something wants to be found or they want to find something or they don't want to find something. They're very different distinctions there, Metal. This is the thing about Pennsylvania itself, right? Because if you actually go through some of the reports when it first happened was it got shot down. And if you looked at the wreckage, it's a photo and there's a hole in the ground. Who knows what it is? We assume that's what it is, right? But the theory of that is that they shot it down because they didn't want it to crash wherever it was crashing, but they didn't want them to show that they had shot it down. They wanted to say that they overpowered the terrorists and they crashed it, right? I understand that's the theory.
Same result, less blowback.
Yes, exactly. There is a purpose to that, okay? And that's what I'm saying. Like, without a purpose to the theory, it doesn't change anything. It's pointless. It's just discussing which way, really, whether it crashed or whether it. See, now and there, whether it crashed or whether it shot down is a big distinction to the way the story is reported. The other one of whether Building 7 fell down or whether it was blew down doesn't change anything else that happened on that day. It actually doesn't change the narrative of what happened about terrorists blowing up the Twin Towers. That doesn't change. It still exists.
The point of, people saying that Building 7 fell at free fall speed. So for a building that size to fall at free fall speed, it had to have been a controlled demolition, right? Because why isn't it just, one floor falls on top of another floor, stop, like that? But it just all crumbled all at once, free fall speed. So people track back and go, all right, so if all this really happened in the way they say it did, that could not have fallen at free fall speed. Therefore, it had to have been set up previously. Why was it set up previously? In other words, set up to blow previously. Why? What are they trying to hide? Blah, 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 right?
But did the other towers not fall, though?
The other towers fell at pretty much free fall speed as well.
But I'm saying, like, I would find it strange if one fell at free fall speed. It like, that's the thing. If they all fell like that, which they kind of all did fall the same way, right? Isn't that just sort of more of a reflection on how they built it? Because they all fell the same.
Can I just got a question to say something to that? If you go back to the 1993 bombing of the basement, right? Those towers have 4 structure points, right? Now, when that bomb went off, and I can't remember how many people died, it blew out 2 of those structures, right? And the building was still able to stand with the core being blown up. So, if anything, it should have toppled over then.
Okay, I'm going to go back to what the first sentence I said to Metal. I don't mind you having a theory, Metal. I actually don't. That's fine. What's the point? What are you trying to prove with this theory, though? Was it not the terrorists who blew it up? Is that what you're trying to say?
Oh, my God.
No, but that's what I'm trying to get at. What are we trying to prove?
Okay, the theory. So let's go back to conspiracy questions, because this is what I'm trying to work out, because I haven't based my theory yet, because there's too many options for theories.
Pick one. I don't care. Pick one. At least pick one.
They wanted to implement the Patriot Act, which was already written.
The CCTV building. Just please have a look at that one. Just please have a look at that building.
Yeah, I've seen the CCTV building. I've been there in real life with you, and we've seen it.
Have a look. I was there just after.
Where is it? CCTV tower where?
Beijing.
Just do CCTV fire Beijing.
Just have a look at it. Go to Google it.
CCTV tower fire Beijing. This is great. This is great podcasting, I must say. Like, you know, we'll just make an episode watching YouTube clips.
It's basically the podcast version of Gogglebox.
Go to images. Do you go to images?
All right, I'm looking at the images. Yes, it's on fire from top to bottom.
Still
bottom
standing,
to top.
mind you. Able to be rebuilt, mind you. It got rebuilt.
I don't know if they're relevant to the 3 of the same buildings built in New York in the 70s, Metal. Like, I don't know.
I don't think building technology changed like hugely in 5 years, whatever it was, that they got built.
You don't reckon? Look at the CCTV building. Look at the CCTV building in Beijing now. It's a freaking M. It's like
is there actually video of this thing burning?
Yeah.
Being called CCTV, you'd want there to be some bloody video.
So it burnt on opening night. Do you know how it burnt?
Opening night?
Yeah, opening night, because they lit fireworks. They lit fireworks in it. So they had fireworks, and the fireworks got caught in the aircon ducts, and that's what happened.
Did anyone die?
No. I think everyone got evacuated, but if they did, we wouldn't know anyway. But
hey, Simon, in real life, it's actually a wicked building too next door. It's this giant M. It's like massive cantilever, and it's like this. It's wicked. In real life, it's awesome. This is the other building. It's 2 parts or something, and one of them's completely burnt. Anyway, but that's like, I don't mind you having thinking that's the case, Mel. That's fine. But there has to be a point to like. There's got to be a reason to it. I don't understand it. What?
I think it's fair to say that we have questions, we don't have a theory.
Yeah,
and leave it there.
And let's leave it at time. The thing is, we'll never have a theory because we're not privy to any information. How the hell do we know?
To have a theory, you're just pulling that out of your ass.
You don't know.
But I think it's very legitimate to have questions such as, how the hell did that building fall at free fall speed instead of like toppling one floor at a time, blah, blah, blah. I think that's fair to ask.
There's YouTube videos showing the fire of how it spreads and why that would occur as well. So you can go the other way and show that. But if that's the case and you want to say, yeah, that's fine, they demoed it down, right? Like, if you're going to bring up a theory, it has to have a point.
It's not a theory, remember? It's just a question.
It's not really. That's all. Much like, so everyone has one. There's a conspiracy theory that you might think that's probably true. My one's the Disney Frozen one. Have you heard the Disney Frozen one?
No, let's go into that.
No, it's just Disney made the movie Frozen so that when you Google Disney Frozen, you don't find out that Walt Disney was frozen when he died. They cryogenically froze him.
Oh, so he's coming back?
Or that's what he was wanted to do because apparently he was a weirdo. But anyway,
Do you actually believe that one?
No, but at least like they made the movie Frozen, right? And they specifically called it Frozen. So when you Google Walt Disney Frozen, the actual movie shows up and not the bad PR about him being cryogenically frozen.
Is he actually cryogenically frozen?
Yeah.
Where is he stored?
Wherever it is. I don't know. Where's he from? Probably in the middle of his theme park.
Is this actually like common knowledge?
Well, that's what I'm saying. Like a conspiracy theory there is that's why they've done something like that. It has a point to it, right?
But hang on. Wait. I'm a bit confused. Is the conspiracy theory that he was frozen or that they created the thing so that no information comes up about him being frozen?
Him being frozen has always, like cryogenically frozen, has always been something that was talked about since he died.
So like Elvis is still alive type of thing?
Yeah, so that's always the thing. Is because there's heaps of it. Rumor is that they froze him so when they could reanimate him, that when later down the track he could come back alive or something. Basically, the whole premise of Futurama, the TV show.
I think that's got to be the most far-fetched thing I've ever heard. More far-fetched than the moon landing.
But that's not the conspiracy theory. The conspiracy theory was they made the movie Frozen so that when you Google that, it doesn't show as that because they didn't like that PR, right? Which is not that far-fetched that you just call the name Frozen, right? That's the thing. So that has a point.
Yeah, but this is my thing is we will never know the point. The idea that because they've done it specifically, so you don't know. That's the whole idea.
I know, but that's the premise of a conspiracy theory is that you can't prove it. It is just a conspiracy. That's the whole point of it.
That's the point. It's a conspiracy.
People might listen to this and go, at least 2 out of 3 of us are absolute nut jobs or whatever. However, I just want to reiterate, I don't have a conclusion. Or and what I've discovered is I don't even have a theory. I only have questions. And my questions are quite easily shot down. I'm happy to admit that. But I just wonder about people who have theories, right? Whether it's 9/11 stuff or moon landing or any kind of conspiracy theory, and they are so married to it. You know what I mean? And you can't bend them. You can't make them see any other reason or any other people's perspective. Like people make podcasts about their conspiracy theories. Like, their whole podcast is about, everything's a conspiracy and everyone's conspiring against us type of thing, whether that be 5G, coronavirus, 9/11, Illuminati, bullshit after bullshit after bullshit. I'm just like saying the mindset of that type of person freaks me out. Like, my God, you've got to be.
Look, all I'm saying, right, is there's a lot of questions that the media go, just accept the fact that that's what happened. Well, it's like, really, you don't have to be a genius to work out. That doesn't really add up. Now, whatever it was, we don't know. We assume, yes, the terrorist bomb that went to, it is what it is. But what I'm saying is, come on. Doesn't that seem just like a little bit just like, how the hell does that happen? Just defies science, defies logic, really.
Or maybe it is what it isn't.
Yeah? It's just like, surely, like, they tried to bomb it before. They blew out the bottom of the building and it's still standing. And then
I don't know.
It's just, I don't know. I reckon it raises a lot of questions. Yes, it did happen. Of course it did. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm not denying that. Did we go to war? Of course we did. You know what I mean? Did we do the right thing? Well, yes, in hindsight, yes, we did. But there's still a lot of questions you've got to ask yourself about it. And just like, because it's like when you ask a question, you get an answer. That doesn't really answer my question. You know what I mean? It's like that doesn't make sense. Like that building, just like statistically, just falling like the way it did. It's just, that would fall over. That's just saying that's science. You're arguing with it's just defying science what they're saying. That's all I'm saying.
No, but you can find you could find a scientist that tells you no, that's fine. It's just the way it burnt. Like that's what you're saying.
I was going to say you can say it defies science, but even like I've said, how does that building fall at free fall speed? Maybe it can. Maybe I'm not saying that. I definitely know that the science is. Impossible that building fell at free fall speed. Maybe it can. Maybe it just bloody crumbled into dust because physics dictates that that's what can happen. Who knows?
There was 3 of them that happened, so maybe they were built in a way that's how the fire made them fall. I don't know. But there's people that say that's the way it happened, right? But as I said, the whole point that we're going through when we're going through the theory part of it was that even if that changes, whether you think they were blown up or whether you think they fell down or whether you think the plane blew them, whether you think that's the case, does it change the end outcome?
No, not saying it does.
Then that's not a conspiracy theory then. To me, it has to actually change the common held belief of why it occurred. If it doesn't do that, it's not a conspiracy theory then.
That's right. It's just questions.
I have questions. I have a lot of questions. That's all. I have questions. It's like at the end of the day, I have questions.
But I get that. But your question has to fundamentally change the common held belief. That's the thing. If it doesn't change the common held belief, then you're just arguing which was, I suppose, like a small fact of it rather than the actual purpose. And I think that conspiracy theory targets the purpose, not the fact of it.
I think that people are more nutty if they land on the purpose. The questions, I think, are fair enough, right? I think it's because if something just doesn't compute in your mind logically or rationally, it's fair enough to have questions, no matter about what that might be about. But where you get nutty is when you say it's because of this purpose. Like, who the fuck is anybody to know?
But that's what specifically makes a conspiracy theory.
I know. So
it.
that's fantastic. That means you can't call me a conspiracy theorist because I haven't got a theory.
Yeah.
So that's good. That makes me feel good. I also feel fine with the fact that there are questions in my mind.
Yeah.
Also, because I'm just not the type of person that you can just tell something to and they're just going to agree with something, whether that's, you just tell me something or you see it in the media or whatever. I think it's an analytical person is always going to have some kind of questions. Try to break something down.
Have you actually watched the first Jack Reacher film? You ever watched that film with Tom Cruise?
No.
Yeah, great movie.
Great. I can't bring it up now. Can you watch it and then you can discuss again another time?
Or is that a conspiracy thing? What is it?
You'll I don't want to ruin the movie for you. It's actually quite an entertaining movie. Yes, there's basically
giving me a lot of homework here.
No. It's just an entertaining movie. Just watch it and you'll see. That's something I would. The way I would explain what I'm trying to say is that it's going to change the purpose. And that's
look, and I agree with you. I can see your point.
Yeah, and I agree. Look, I agree with you too. But what I'm saying is, we're not privy to what Jack Reacher has to get that information to change the point. So I can't make a theory. He was able to make a theory because he had the whole information in front of him.
David Icke, he's probably the biggest well-known conspiracy theorist in the world, right? And he's been going on that London Reel, which we've also discussed previously, talking about this 5G and coronavirus. And he's got all these things, 5G is causing coronavirus. But to your point, Dom, he's not saying any reason why. And it's so hard for me to watch it. Like, I've tried to watch a couple of them and I can't get through it because he's just like, but why? He's saying all this stuff and I'm saying to the screen, but tell us why they're doing this. Tell us why this is happening. Who's doing it? You know what I mean? It's always the general they. And that fucking shoots me. People listen to this guy and think that he's some guru, that he knows all this stuff. Where'd you get your information from? How have you verified it? Who are the they that you keep referring to? You know what I mean? What's the science behind 5G causing coronavirus? Like, don't just say it happens. Give us the science behind it. But people fall for it just because some guy's on the internet saying it. Drives me insane. And then you got that Mel. You said that Brian, what's his name?
Brian Rose.
London Reel.
Brian Rose.
Right? He laps it up, mate. He laps it up. This is supposed to be an intelligent guy. He doesn't question him. Like, fuck. Drives me insane. Question him. Ask him these questions that I've just brought up. Who are the they? What's the science behind it? How does it happen? Break it all down. No, you just accept these.
But, exactly like you just said there. So 5G causing coronavirus, right? That's the conspiracy theory. That one there.
Crazy.
But again, this is when I bring you back conspiracy theories. I'm like, But why go to that effort for what? I don't understand. What are you achieving out of this?
5G is going to cause coronavirus. These special Illuminati people, whatever hell you want to call them, they're going to get it too. Doesn't make sense. You want to kill the public, you're going to kill yourselves.
But that's exactly my point. What are you achieving by killing people? It doesn't matter. I'm like, but the point of a theory is you have to have the purpose to do it in the beginning. So why do that's what I'm saying. Like they've just pulled two things that are
kill people and you take out taxpayers. Basically, it doesn't make any sense, does it?
And that's what I don't get. I'm like, but
yeah, I know. I totally see. I totally agree.
And that's what it is. I was like, but you got to have an end reason for doing things. People, it's essentially no different to when you investigate a murder. What was the motive? People just don't go around willy-nilly knocking people in the head, right? Generally, there's a motive or there's something wrong with the guy, right?
Generally, what they say, these conspiracy nut jobs, what they say the motive is, it's to control us, all right? Something general like that. There's never anything specific. You know, they want to create David Icke keeps saying, they want to create a Hunger Games society, right? Where, you know, basically the cattle class is subservient to the rich and the political class and things like that. But how does that serve that upper class? Because that upper class already has it good anyway.
But that's exactly the point. Like that already occurs. So why would they go through this effort to do the same thing that happens?
Exactly.
And you know what? If I'm worth $100 billion, I'll just pay someone to do the shit I don't want to do. Why would I try and control humanity? It makes no sense. It's fucking like, Jesus Christ, guys. It's illogical.
So yeah, and everything's Bill Gates' fault.
Yeah, that's all shit. It's all rubbish. There's nutcases. I don't believe none of that crap. That's just rubbish. 5G, man. How long have we had mobile phones for?
4Gs. It's not different, guys. Same thing, eh?
Yeah, it's just
every time a new G comes out, all this is probably the worst example of it with the 5G. But every time, you know, when they jumped from, you know, to 2G and to 3G, at each iteration, these nut jobs came out of the woodwork about it. And then nothing happened. No one died because of 3G and 4G. No one's going to die because of 5G. It just happened to coincide, I suppose, with this coronavirus. And there's
that's all it is. It's just it's circumstantial. They happened at the same time, even though 5G's been around for a while. So I don't really get that. You know, like my modem sends out a 5G signal. But anyway, don't worry about that.
Yeah, that's had it for ages. 5G's been done for ages.
Yeah, probably for about 3 years, actually.
So I don't know. I don't get it. But anyway, yeah, just
modems have been 5G ready for probably about 3 years, maybe more.
That's what I'm saying to you. So I was like, well, I don't like, you know, it's been in your house for the last 3 years, but now all of a sudden you're upset about it. But
we've gone down some rabbit holes in this one.
I told you. I said don't bring it up. This is a big issue. And you taunted me, and we got there in the end.
Just as long as I'm clear that I don't want to be branded with, you know, conspiracy nut job like
same.
People that land on conclusions, I think, are far different than people that just have questions.
You dangled the old fishing line in front of me. You went fishing and you got me. You caught me. Right?
But look, really, all the conspiracies are all rubbish. Really, I only have the questions. You know, that's all I have. Just questions.
We did not even discuss JFK.
Okay,
that's a good point to end on, I think.
But I think JFK is one of those ones that everyone agrees there's something like everyone agrees there is something more to it, right? And it's again that changing the purpose is if you knew what the purpose was, you could probably figure out the actual conspiracy. But
some people say that the purpose was that he was going after the mafia. So the mafia,
and that's the thing. Mafia is one of them. Conservatives are another. Blah blah blah. You know,
Cuba was another one.
Cuba was another one. The communists. Blah blah blah. So
it could be tied in with the Operation Northwood. Do you know that? How the Joint Chiefs of Staff wanted to set up a mission to blow up an airliner and blame it on Cuba, I think it was. And they took this plan to JFK and he vetoed it. He said, "No, we're not doing that." Okay, and then to get back at JFK for not going along with that is also part of why.
Yeah, but they also JFK also vetoed them on the the Cuban Missile Crisis, because they wanted a full-out war to blow up to Cuba.
They wanted to launch nuclear.
They wanted a full-on invasion of Cuba. So it was like,
For what purpose?
because they had the nuclear weapons there, remember?
Because the Russians were storing nuclear weapons.
Yeah, 100%.
So the problem with that one is it's definitely before, it was kind of before our time. So it's very hard to, like, I didn't know the world circumstances at the time. Like, I think that would have changed your view.
That's why I like saying over that YouTube channel, The Cold War, and it's a 7-part series. The guy talks about it. My God, he was full. Whew, mate, the world was at the brink. It's like we didn't realise how close. Like when you studied at school, you're like, yeah, okay, you know.
Yeah, what's that Russian guy's name that didn't launch the missiles?
That was another guy. That was another
The false flag or whatever it was.
There was another guy on a Russian submarine.
Watching the radar, and he's like, they just launched 5 missiles at us.
That was the Hunt for Red October sort of shit. No, Crimson Tide. Like Crimson Tide, that's it.
And so he averted nuclear war because they were going to shoot back. And he said, nah, I think it's fake, right? I don't think it's right. And it wasn't right. It was a thing. So they were going to shoot back. And he said no. And I was like, holy shit.
Yeah, because the captain wanted it. His name was Stanislav Dragovich Petrov.
Yeah, didn't he get an award? The Americans gave him an award for humanitarian award or some shit like that.
Mm.
Yeah, so everyone was always on the brink.
Well, I think at the end of the day, there's not going to be a winner. You start throwing nuclear stuff at each other. It's game over for the whole world.
1983 Soviet nuclear false alarm incident.
Yeah.
19 what?
83.
83?
Oh, yeah. Actually, mate, this is that. Yeah, you said Crimson Tide?
I haven't seen it.
Go read it, Simon. It's very interesting. Very interesting story. And he goes, the Americans wouldn't attack like that. So his reasoning was that they wouldn't do it like that. So that's why he didn't shoot back. And then he was right. It wasn't correct. It was a problem.
So what was it that he saw on radar?
5 nuclear bombs.
Multiple nuclear bombs. And he's like, that's not their style. Like they wouldn't have done that.
Okay, but it showed up on the radar. So what was it?
Yeah, so it was what was it, Metal?
Soviet nuclear false alarm incident. 1983.
It was like when Reagan got in, wasn't it?
Mr. Gorbachev, tear down this wall. And then about a year later, they did.
Yeah, I think it was in 86, I think, and that was in front of Brandenburg, and a few years later, that's knocked down.
I can't actually say I was anywhere that day, so I don't know where you fellas were.
I was at school when that happened. I remember that. We were at school. It was like, oh, my God, the Berlin Wall's come down. Then it was like, the teacher was like...
89. It came down... Was it
89. It's November 89. 1st of November or something like that. 89, 7th of November.
It was 89.
Yeah, it was November 89. And I remember the teacher at school, I think it was Mr. Loney, I think, or somewhere, principals, whatever, was saying, oh, you don't understand, this is like a big thing. It was like, kids, this is history.
I don't remember it.
It was like a big thing. It was like, holy shit, the Berlin Wall's come down.
All right. How about we wrap this up?
Yeah.
I told you he dangled that carrot in front of me and I took it.
Oh, my God. I think this is the longest episode we've done.
And, by far, I think.
75% of it was conspiracy nutjob stuff.
Was it? Yeah, it was my rant. You got me worked up. That's what happens.
It wasn't just you, don't worry.
No, but I was like, me and Melo have certain topics we try not to touch too often because they devil into the rabbit hole and you don't get out.
We'll have to do this again. All right, Domenic, thank you very much for gracing us with your presence.
Thanks for having me, fellas.
Might have to get you on and get rid of your brother, maybe. That could be the go.
That's right.
I'll just have to brush up on the rest of my conspiracy theories and then we'll come back.
Conspiracy questions.
Watch the Frozen one, man. You'll see. You'll see what I mean.
Oh, my God. I got work to do. I can't spend my day Googling.
Just watch Jack Reacher.
Theories
Jack Reacher, and you'll kind of see what I'm trying to point.
Is that on Netflix? Because if it's not on Netflix, I can have it playing while I'm working.
It's on Netflix. I watched it about 2 months ago.
The other one, have you seen John Wick?
I was going to ask you. That's right, because when you said Jack Reacher, the first thing that popped into my head was John Wick, but I thought they were the same thing. So what's John Wick about?
Oh, I can't tell you. You have to watch it. Highly recommend.
That's Keanu Reeves.
Keanu Reeves.
Yeah?
Keanu Reeves.
Isn't there like 3 or 4 movies of that?
There's 3.
Yeah.
But the first one's the best one by far.
Yeah, John Wick's amazing.
Such an underrated movie.
I've seen that pop up on Netflix, but I haven't clicked on it.
Definitely watch John Wick.
And you'll be like, what? This is amazing. Amazing. Oh, I love it.
We could go on for days, but we should end it.
Oh, we'll come back next time. We'll talk about John Wick.
If I've had a chance to watch any of this, maybe we'll reconvene and break it down, have a review.
No worries.
All right, guys, been a pleasure.
No worries.
To all our listeners out there, follow us on Facebook and Instagram. Just do a search for Chronicles on the Fly, and you will surely find us. And send us a message and say, "Plus, what nuts we are." Adios. Ciao.
See you, fellas.
See ya.
You know, one thing I remember with my son, who is he's quite disagreeable by temperament, which is actually a good thing as far as I'm concerned, although it brings its own challenges. And so with my daughter, when she was misbehaving, she was pretty agreeable. And, you know, if she was misbehaving, I could basically just look at her and then she'd quit, you know. But my son, it was like, that was just nothing. You're looking at me? It's like, no, that's just not going to go anywhere, man. And so then I'd like tell him to stop, and that really wasn't having much of an effect either. He'd just sort of maybe laugh or run away or whatever. I mean, he was a tough little rat. And, you know, what I would do with him is he would be doing something and I'd interfere and he'd get upset and, you know, angry. And so then I'd get him to sit on the steps. And I told him, and this is when he was about 2, I said, look, you're going to sit on the steps. That's timeout. You're going to sit on the steps until you've got control of yourself and you can come back and play the family game again. I basically said, be a civilized human being and then you're welcome again. And so he'd sit on the steps. It was so interesting to watch because he was just enraged. He'd sit there. Like, have you ever seen a 2-year-old have a temper tantrum? It's really quite the bloody phenomena. If you ever saw an adult do that, you'd call 911 right away. It's like, oh my God. And I've seen adults do that, you know, because people say with borderline personality disorder will have temper tantrums. And it's like, man, you want to be about 30 feet away from that person. That's for sure. It's really, but in kids, it's like, well, first of all, they're only this long. So how much trouble can they really cause? But it's like, you know, they're just completely gone. They're like, on the floor, their face is red. They're just furious, like way more furious than you ever get if you're even vaguely socialized. They're just outraged and they're kicking and hitting the ground and like, it's like a little epileptic fit of anger, you know. They're completely controlled by their rage. And we took care of one kid for a while he was actually a pushover, that kid. You could get him to behave by, you know, kind of shaking your finger at him. But his mother thought he was really tough, because he had her figured out. And one of the things he would do is have a temper tantrum. And during the temper tantrum, he would hold his bloody breath until he turned blue. It's like, try that. Like, you know, that's your homework. Go home and have a temper tantrum. And while you're doing it, hold your breath until you actually turn blue. It's like, you won't be able to do it. You don't have the willpower of a 2-year-old. That's for sure. That little varmint, man, he'd just have a fit. Then he'd hold his breath and then he'd turn blue. It was like, wow, that's amazing. And we would just like let him do it. And, you know, he'd turn blue and everybody would be gone and he'd come out of it, you know, and it didn't work. So he just quit doing it. I think he did it like twice and he figured out, oh, well, that's a lot of work for very little outcome. And, you know, it's not like 2-year-olds are stupid. They're not stupid. They're probably smarter than you, but they're not civilized by any stretch of the imagination. And so anyways, back to my son, I'd put him on the steps and he'd be like, just like enraged and trying to get himself together, you know? And I'd wait a few, I got a strict rule, which was as soon as you're done, you're welcome again. So it's completely under your control. You get yourself calmed down, you come and talk to me again. If you're calm enough so I like you, then you're welcome back in the family. No grudge, nothing. And so it's harder than you think. Like, people think they like their kids. It's like, don't be thinking that. They're hard to like. They're little monsters and they're very, very pushy and provocative. And so lots of parents do not like their children and they do terrible things to them their whole life. So it's no joke. And it's very common. And, you know, that was Freud's observation, fundamental observation, that a lot of psychopathology is rooted in the family. And you can be sure of that, you know. And when you hear about some mother who's done something terrible to her child, which happens reasonably frequently, you know perfectly well that she has a very terrible capacity to discipline. The child's just provoked her and provoked her and provoked her and provoked her and provoked her. And it just happens to be a day where her new boyfriend left and she's quite hungover and she got fired. And it's like, that's the wrong day to provoke her. And then she does something that is not good. And you read about it and you think, well, how could that happen? How could anyone do that? Well, that's how they do it. And kids are very provocative, just like little chimps. The adolescents will like throw little pebbles and sticks at the sleeping larger males and bug them. And that teasing, which it is, that teasing turns into full-fledged dominance challenge behavior once the adolescent males get big enough to do it. And so when you're being provoked by a child, which they provoke you all the time, they're trying to figure out, well, just where are you exactly? What happens if I do this? What happens if I do this? And how else are they going to figure it out? Anyways, he'd sit on the steps and he's just enraged and trying to control himself. And I'd watch that. And then, I'd come back after about 2 minutes or whatever, and he'd still be, I'd say, well, have you got yourself under control? Are you ready to get off the steps? He'd go, no, not yet. And then, he'd get himself under control, and then he'd come back and, he'd be contrite. And then I would like him right away, you got to watch that, because you don't like being dominated by a 2-year-old. No one does. And so if the child hasn't mastered himself and started to act in accordance with the prevailing social norms, you won't like them. Well, you think, oh yeah, I will, because, I'm a good person. It's like, no, you won't. And no, you're not a good person. So don't be thinking about that at all. It's just not true. So when he was contrite, then he'd come and then, we just go on like nothing had happened, because that's what you want to do, right? As soon as you get compliance, especially if the compliance is in the best interest of the child, you want to reward it instantly, right? That's the right thing to do, because so then, and you could just see him gaining control over himself. And so really what was happening is in his mind, in his brain, we'll say there was a war between the psyche, the ego that was starting to become integrated, and starting to become a continuous person, an identity. And it's fragile in 2-year-olds, and it can be disrupted all the time, and it is. That's why they're so hyper emotional. It's fragile, that little ego, and it doesn't have a lot of power. And so what you want to do is reward it when it wins. It's when he gets control over the underlying motivations, you want to say, hey, good work, man. Good work, kid. You did it. You got yourself under control. Way to be. And the kid's really happy about that, because it's actually not that much fun to have a temper tantrum. It's exhausting.